brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC with the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Edu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes the Nanoblade immediately to the back, like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Hello and welcome back, folks, to CGL Saturday Night Overwatch, the show where we talk shop and lose the plot. It is halfway through the season. Stage 1 is coming to an end, and we have a halfway finals for you, a mid-season finals. This is going to be a brilliant match, and it will conclude one of the first stages of CGL. My name is Gio. I'll be hosting tonight's SNO. I'm joined by a wonderful host of characters that you're used to seeing. I'm joined by Sov. I'm joined by Ray.
What up?
And I'm joined by Rammer. Oh, lovely. I love that one.
You did tell him to do anything. I mean,
I did say. And we got a
tell
little wave. But it's the wave that's surfing us forward here. It's been a great stage so far. And we're going to have like a little bit of a look back on and reflect on what we've seen from the stage in this tier and in other tiers and in NA as well. We've got plenty of time to do so. I mean, I've really loved the stage so far. Particularly, like, the matchups actually are close. We've had a lot of very one-sided matchups in SNO, but we have had some bangers indeed. Rammer, looking back throughout the stage so far, what's been your thoughts on it?
I guess my thoughts are we're finally starting to kind of get an idea of where these teams stand. You know, it's one of those things at the beginning of the season where everyone comes in, you're like, you know, I see some people I recognize on this team, maybe like a player on this team. How good is everyone? Are people going to mesh together? Do they work together in the meta that we have? And, you know, we end up, you know, streaming a lot of, say, hard 3-0s in situations, but we're getting a little better as we start these standings to come out. We're like, okay, we're actually getting some better matches now.
Exactly. When it comes to like getting used to team play, you know, that consistency isn't a straight line that goes upwards. It's a curve, right? And we're getting to the mid-season. That's when the teams have really been putting in the work. We're going to really start to see them soar. Ray, what's been your thoughts on the stage so far?
I think, considering we're on the EU edition of the desk, the best part is we've had the best game of the season on the EU desk, where it was at 5 mappers. So I have my hopes set high for this division, given the grand finals and the match we're casting today. We'll have to see if it's going to be a close match, like I hope. But as, you know, a man next to me named Headrammer once said, I just feel it with my heart.
And the heart is what matters most of all. So the stage is coming to a conclusion soon. We're in the mid-season. What's been your thoughts looking back on it?
I think the thing that stands out to me about this particular mid-season, say what you will about the meta, maybe you think it's stale, maybe you think it's gotten kind of boring, but I really do think we've gotten to see a lot of the flexibility from a lot of these players. It's been very, you know, consistently around these pieces, these Juno Brig pieces, but when you look at the wider, you know, scale of what people are playing, we've seen so much flexibility between the DPS, between the tanks, and it's really been awesome to see and allow these teams the chance to kind of flex to what is best for them.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Flexibility is one of the most important parts of teamwork and adapting to like a meta that changes and isn't so concrete. But it's the mental gymnastics that these players will be battling with today because, like I said, it's the mid-season finals. And for this one, it is a finals of that mid-season. And we've got a lot to play for, including an extra map win, which when we get into this matchup, you'll see how important that is because these teams, it's not number 1 and 2 seed facing off against each other, it's number 3 and 4. So that's going to be really important for both of these teams. Yeah, it's the mid-season, it's SNO, so we're the first mid-season of the SNO, we're going to actually be able to watch an actual finals. Let's have a look at the schedule for today as well, because of course this is just the EU, this is just the beginning. Later today, we have the NA game as well. So we've got Smelvin Industries and DYS. That will be our first match. That will be our EU console open finals of the mid-season. We'll have Short Bus and Mental Institution, followed by Queen of Diamonds and The Banished. We've got a whole host of content tonight, and we'll be getting nice and comfortable and situated for it. But it's that matchup of Smelvin Industries and DYS that we're here to look at today. These teams have faced in the past before, however, well, not without a little bit of controversy, because in the books, it's a 3-0 for DYS, but in reality, it was a 3-0 for Smelvin Industries because of a rulebook issue. So there's a little bit of tension between these teams and trying to get those 3-0s back and try and actually secure a nice clean matchup to who's actually going to win it. Rammer, what's your thoughts on this finals and the overall bracket for this particular tier?
It's I think it could have the potential to be a pretty good match, honestly. Like you said, they faced each other once before and it was a 3-0 for Smelvin, but we've seen a little bit of leveling up from DYS since that time. I mean, they had a pretty close match their first round in the bracket, a 3-2 versus Lunar Falcons, and I think a team that's able to, enter one of those map 5 scenarios and make it out and succeed, especially when they're down a little bit there, it's such a big thing for a team, especially mental-wise when you go into a match like this against a team that's potentially better. I think technically DYS has a better record than them in the regular season, but that's probably just due to that forfeit reversal. I was actually really surprised to see MC Chimera get 3-0'd, honestly, in the first round.
Yeah, that was a shocker to me as well. I mean, looking at the bracket itself, I mean, DYS, they fought for their lives against Falcons to get to this point, so they're battle-hardened, but Smelvin 3-0ing Chimera, that not only is that a big win, it's a statement made to the rest of the teams. Ray, what's your thoughts on this tier and this particular bracket?
I think with this matchup, given the history, if you're Smelvin Industries, you still have that confidence regardless of how the rulebook fell in, the way it went down. Honestly, it might add more fuel to your fire and look, no rulebooks happening this time. We're going to go out. We're going to 3-0 again. We're going to prove that we should have been the victors of that match. And I'm sure they're just motivated to just steamroll today.
Motivation, that's the key. That's the driving factor. So if this isn't a grand finals, but it is a mid-season finals nonetheless. There is that air of tension. What's your thoughts on this? What should these teams be looking to do to control their mind and their game here in this mid-season finals?
If you're Smelvin Industries, I mean, the answer is you just go and do your thing. You're not feeling concerned. You just steamrolled your last, team. I don't think this is probably just not even a blip on your radar. You're looking ahead past this. So I think you just need to keep your mental strong and continue to go forward like you have. You're basically, this isn't your first season of CGL. You know what you're doing. You're an established name here. I think you're feeling pretty good. For DYS though, I mean, you gotta I think it's going to come down to the mental for them too. I think you have to kind of, readjust it. Yeah, you did technically win over them by a 3-0, by some nonsense. But you have to kind of look at that and say, all right, we got lucky on that one. Let's make sure we did all of our planning. Let's make sure we grew over this and really kind of lock down. Let's go back and watch the tape because you know what Smelvin Industries is bringing into this from a couple weeks ago. You know how hard this fight is going to be. So you can't afford to let yourself go into this thinking anything less than we are ready and we are here to take back that win that we deserve.
Exactly. And that's the attitude I want to see from these players. And watching the tape's important, but the one tape you don't want to see yourself end up on is the Lowlights tape. So let's have a little look at what's coming up in the next episode of Lowlights.
Aw. How does the old cowboy deal with this one? Well, less well. Oh, there's for sleep. Here comes the beam, though. The beam will be helpful. Did you just drop off this freaking... Were you forced to use this self-destruct? Or did you just think, you know what? He's sleeping. He's an EP guy. I'll just drop this here. Does he get clear? Tries their best. Where are you going? What were you just trying to deflect off of this central pillar to avoid the Deadeye? Alright, boys. Oh, we just curve around because of all of the angled surfaces. Ah, I've made a boo-boo here.
And you can watch that episode and all other episodes of Lowlights on the YouTube channel for CGL. And it's a great watch. It's a good time to just watch the, shall we say, creative plays go on. So no matter what map you're on, no matter what match it is, you might end up on Lowlights. But it's about the map knowledge in our next segment, because we're bringing back an old banger. Rammer, take us away with our next segment.
Yes. You might have remembered this from last season if you're an avid watcher of CGL and watched every single one of our streams, as you as you should. You can see right there, I've made sure to include a great description if you're not familiar with what our game mode is. It's called What Map Is That? And you wonder what that is? It's a globally diverse game inspired by pop culture phenomenon GeoGuessr. Join along with your favorite staff members and their knowledge of Overwatch maps as they're put to the test. Witness the high-stakes action through the eyes of an outside observer. There will be joy, fear, tears, and maybe a bit of anger. Tune in at 3:41 p.m. EST Saturday night on Fox. Yes, we do have a TV distribution deal, and I'm getting paid a lot of money for it. Thank you.
I say this is exactly why he can keep it going. He just makes those big bucks and gets us those deals.
Yeah.
Take that, Disney XD.
Yes. You lost the Overwatch League and you gained us. So I don't know how you feel. What is that? All right, Hippie, full screen me. We're gonna put these people to the test. Make sure everyone has their buzzer open. Do you have your buzzer open, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
84 people in here? Okay. I'm going to unlock the buzzer, and I want to remind everyone how it works. I will show you an image of a map. The first person to buzz in, and we'll go in order of buzz in, has to tell me what map it is, and if you know where it is. If it's a control point map, then I want to know which point it is as well. Sound good?
Okay,
Yep.
Good.
All right, cool. Let me bring up the stuff.
Good stuff.
Yes, the good stuff. Boom. What map is that? And our signature
beautiful.
spin. Woo! Yeah. We got high
I'm already
production value
dizzy.
High budget. Incredible.
here. Yeah, we're high production here. All right, everyone. Let me pull up the buzzer. All right. What map is that? Oh, I've got the Soab in here first. What you got for me?
That is Circuit Royale.
Interesting guess. I'm afraid not.
No, okay.
Geo,
Is it Paris?
you are correct. It is Paris.
Oh,
Okay, that was my number 2.
an
Yeah.
oldie and not a goldie.
Hashtag bring back Paris. Bring back Paris. All right, so gotta be a little faster than the draw for everyone else. Gotta be confident in our answers for map 2. What map's that? Talk me through what you're thinking. Oh, so F.
What is Horizon Lunar Colony?
Interesting guess, but no.
No.
Geo.
What is Samoa Volcano?
No.
Oh,
Ray.
because of like the geothermal.
Watchpoint Gibraltar.
You didn't buzz in, but no, it is not that either.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll reset the buzzer. I'll give everyone another guess. So look, what's a place we might need some batteries?
I'm drawing a blank.
I mean, anywhere you could use technically a battery.
Yeah, I pretty
I'm
much.
trying to enter my mind palace.
Yeah, but emergency batteries.
That's why I thought it was Horizon Lunar, but
Oh,
I think. Geo?
I'm going a little off the cuff here. Arctic Peninsula?
Correct.
yeah.
Oh!
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good read.
Ooh.
Good read.
He didn't say which point.
He didn't, but we were already struggling, so we were
That's
just
okay.
gonna have
We're already bad. So.
I would have got it wrong also.
yeah. Alright, next map. Which one's that? So F?
That is Hanaoka.
No.
Ah, okay.
Geo?
Hanamura?
No.
Oh!
Ray?
Oh!
Is it Kanazaka?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
We went
Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
mall.
Eventually we'll hit the entire country.
Well, as soon as it wasn't Hanaoka, I knew it was Kanazaka. I
Yeah.
just had to wait for Gio to guess wrong.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
So far we've had a pretty distinct, consistent order. Soev always goes in first, then Geo goes, and then Ray just waits for everyone else to mess up.
No brain, only button. Let's go.
Alright, I think you guys can get this one. What map's that? Geo.
I buzzed way ahead of my time. Oh, God. Now I have to
Under
guess.
pressure.
Oh, God. Rialto.
No. It's not what I thought you were going to guess, honestly.
No, me neither.
Soev, Ray. Soev?
Paraiso?
No. Come on, Ray, you got this in you.
Circuit Royale.
No. Here, I'll give you guys a hint, okay?
Sure.
Mhm.
This map is being reworked in season 13. Soev?
Numbani?
No.
No.
We're gonna go through them all again. Geo?
Havana?
No.
Ah!
Ray?
Dorado.
It is Dorado.
Yes, it is Dorado.
Dorado. Yeah.
So,
Oh, God.
Alright, you can get this one, though. What map is that?
Oh, fucking observers love to stare at these things. I feel like I should know this.
Yeah, right? Oh, Ray's our first buzz in. This is new.
Is that Throne of Anubis?
No. Geo?
Junkertown?
Yes, it is Junkertown.
Yeah.
Right coming to the third point there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, stare into the abyss. Okay, this one. Look, with our observers, there's no way you haven't seen this map before. This almost the shot.
Oh.
Ray.
Servasa.
Yes. Some of the quickest buzzing in we've seen in a while there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
I got
No,
that
that
one
was a
right.
Geo.
Oh, no, that was Ray.
Ray.
right?
That was Ray.
Yeah.
That was a Ray guess. I'm still off the board.
All right. Okay, so you can get this one. I know you can.
Surely.
So
It's Hollywood, right?
no.
Of course not.
Geo.
Well, that was my guess. Circuit?
No.
Oh,
Ray.
Havana.
No.
oh no. Oh no.
Buzzer reset.
I'm trying to think what it actually is.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure last time I showed the shot to you guys pretty much went through the same list of maps.
Probably. Oh god. I can't even think.
Huh.
Let's see. How can I give you a hint here? There is a lot of movie production in this city. It's in the U.S. Geo.
Midtown?
Yeah, it's Midtown.
It is Midtown.
Yeah.
Okay. I was feeling.
I can actually hear the relief in your voice.
Well, today I learned what that building is.
Yeah, that's the first point. That's the first point. Widow Peak. Yeah.
Yep. All right. What map's that?
I've seen this
Geo.
before.
Paraiso?
Yes.
Okay.
It is
Ah,
Paraiso.
damn it.
It was the orange wall that helped me.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What map's that? I don't think I Jude, did you buzz in or did I forget to reset your buzzer?
You did not reset. So Ray's
Okay.
first.
Okay. I'll just reset it in general, but Ray, what one you going for?
That is Esperanza.
Yes, immediate answer.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, good.
Yeah, well
All
played.
right, I have one final one. Okay. What map is that? Ray.
Dawn of Anubis.
No.
Damn it.
Go F.
New Junk City.
No.
Damn.
Oh my god. I'm actually struggling. I can see the map, but I can't say it. Okay, second guess then, Nepal.
No.
Ah.
All right. Ah, I thought you guys were gonna get it really fast, honestly.
YOLO.
So F.
Oasis.
No.
God.
Oh god.
You, Ray. Come on. I believe in you.
Oh, I'm struggling. Oh,
Let's see. We need a hint here, maybe. Here, I'll reset it for everyone, and I'll give a hint.
Yeah, you guys-
I'm trying to
what
watch.
do you think?
I'm trying to look for the windows.
A map that was set already was pretty close to this one. Right.
Temple of Anubis.
Yes.
Wait, I said Anubis.
No, you didn't.
That was my second guess, wasn't it?
No.
No, you
one
said like
Temple
Nepal
of
or
Anubis.
something like that.
Oh, I said Nepal? Okay.
Yeah.
Thought I said that. I was like, wait, no, I thought I said Anubis. Okay.
No. I'm not gonna be
well.
gaslit on this one.
That's fine.
On
I don't-
my
I don't need any
game
points
show.
anyways.
All
I
right.
miss
All
Anubis.
right. All right. I mean, honestly, Ray did really good.
Yeah, Ray did very well there.
Damn, yeah, that's good.
For a while, got a little bit of a slow start there. I thought Gio was owning for a while, and then just Ray was just like cleaning up on a few of these last ones. So, Ray, what do you have to say for yourself? How do you know all this stuff?
I had to. I know you were like, Ray's only won once. He's getting so cocky. I had to keep the streak going, so I definitely feel pretty good about my knowledge of maps.
Okay, we'll have to trim him up again in the future. Don't worry, we can make it happen.
All you gotta do is like do all the like the PvP maps that I never go on. Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't go on the PvP maps?
you know, like Black Forest and stuff like that.
Oh, those
yeah.
the deathmatch maps.
Yeah,
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 the
yeah,
deathmatch
just-
maps,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Admittedly, those are I've done a few of them in the past. They're a little hard too
Yeah,
because
you
a lot of
have.
them are like very obvious that they are. You have to like
Yeah.
really like find an area that kind of looks like a solar map.
That is true. Well, hopefully the players have better map knowledge than myself and Soph. Ray's got it down though. Bringing it back to that matchup, of course, it's a finals that we're watching today. So these players are on the edge of their seats. You know, Smelvin, they have something to basically get back. They need to earn back that win that was taken from them. They need to prove that it wasn't a fluke that they had won the match previously in terms of actually the physical play of it. Where DYS, they need to prove that it wasn't just because of the rulebook, that they can bring it back, they can keep up the streak that they've had so far in beating a team that's above them in the standings. But let's start by hearing from our players, starting with an interview with Smelvin Industries.
Alrighty, here we have Big Nan from Smelvin Industries here for this interview before the match. And, you know, it's a grand finals, Nan. How do you feel?
A bit nervous. It's not our first grand finals in a mid-season tournament, but we didn't win our first one, so hopefully this one goes better.
That is always the hope and dream. Now, there was technically a matchup that occurred between y'all and DYS already, ultimately ending in a little bit of a rules check there, but you did, technically on paper, y'all did win 3 maps here, so do you feel like that has that momentum for you going into this match?
Yeah, very confident, knowing that we beat them 3-0 before. It was just unlucky with our player Tobbs was being a bit silly playing on the wrong account, so it's unlucky.
You gotta, you know, make sure your ducks are in a row, everything's crossed there. But I mean, that being said, do you have potentially any words you want to send across over to DYS? Maybe something you want to say and let them know?
I dare you to pick Junker Queen against me, bro. Whoever their tank is best, I think. I dare you to pick Junker Queen. Or Sigma. We'll see.
Ooh, the Junker Queen, that could be spicy. And then one final thing, you know, if you do come away with that win, of course, you know, you get the nice little prize of an extra win for the season, but, you know, is there going to be any celebrations? Maybe anybody doing some fun dances or anything like that?
We'll see. Next time I stream, I might do a little dance, but we'll see.
Hey, there you go. You heard it here first. Make sure to turn into Big Nan's Twitch. But we'll go ahead and throw it back to the desk. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, Big Nan.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Alrighty, desk, do your thing.
I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, do the thing, guys. Do the head rammer thing. Woo! Yeah, so confidence there from Big Nan, from Smelvin. Basically daring them to play Junker Queen, a very specific call out. So I think we have an idea of maybe what characters are going to be the strong suit for Big Nan. So listening to that, did you have any thoughts on what we heard from Big Nan there?
See, you said there was confidence, but the first thing he said was we're nervous going into this grand final and that they haven't won one. So that to me actually is like a huge kind of flip on this. I was looking at Smelvin Industries and kind of thinking, all right, this is going to be the team to beat. If they're coming into this nervous and they've fallen at this again, history repeats, even though it's slightly different, Geo. So I wouldn't be shocked if this juggernaut of Smelvin Industries maybe just fumbles at the finish line again.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is true. Like, you can be confident in the matchup, but nervous in the scenario, and they've said that they've not done it before. And if that is the wrong kind of thought process, then that nerve can like create mistakes and unforced errors that can be followed up on by DYS. Well, let's jump ahead to the DYS interview now to hear what the other team had to say.
Alrighty, here on the side of DYS, I have Ronan with me, one of their DPS players. And, I'll start off this interview the same exact way. You're in a grand final situation. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It's been really tough playing on the Falcons 3-2. They're a good team, probably like one of the best teams in the tournament, I would say. We've played them loads of times in scrims before CGL and during CGL. I think we're good rivals, good opponents. Really fun to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, speaking of playing them, there was a bit of a matchup in week 2 that thanks to some people breaking some rules, you guys were able to walk away with the victory. But was there actually some learning that had to occur from that match? Because if we're going off the score, it was not pretty.
No, but yeah, we got slammed, we got 0-3. But we did learn a lot, actually. From that week on, we improved a lot. I think the week after was against Ludo Falcons, I think. We lost them 2-3, but we improved from the 1 week period a lot. Like our positioning, our communication, and our engaging. We looked back at the VODs, how Smelvin actually dominated us. And we learned from them. So I'm actually kind of happy that we got slammed by Smelvin, and I now hope we can slam them back.
Exactly, that's what makes a good rivalry. Now, the advantage of doing this interview second means I get to come to you with some details here. Big Nan on the side of Smelvin was talking a little bit of smack, saying, don't try to match me on the Queen. Maybe anything you want to try to throw back at one of their DPS players.
Yeah, I would say don't match me on Tracer. This week I've been going crazy on her. Don't match me on Tracer or Venture, because you will get bodied.
Ooh, the Tracer or the Venture, the double down. I love it here.
Yeah.
And then finally, if you guys do come away with that victory here, is there going to be any fun celebrations, or is it just sort of a team like, yep, woohoo, we did it?
I think definitely a celebration. We have a kind of theme song. We will therefore play that through the mic. Really loud, probably ear blasting all of us. And yeah, we're just enjoying the moment.
Alrighty, well, I'll go ahead and let you get prepped. Meanwhile, we'll throw it back to the desk to break everything down.
Okay.
And that was Ronan on the DPS lineup of DYS. I mean, beyond confidence, there was a focused, learned, description of what they've done so far. They said they were happy that they were slammed by Smelvin so that they could learn, which now suddenly I've been put on notice. The calm, collected confidence there has made me really turn around and think, wait, hold on, I think they're onto something here. Rammer, what were your thoughts listening to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think the focus on improving. I mean, they got knocked down pretty early in the season. It was week 2, I think, is when they kind of got knocked down. That's a lot of time to like realize like, okay, where are we struggling? Like something not working? What do we have to change and make better? And they mentioned how they lost to the Lunar Falcons like in the regular season, but then they also went around and beat them in a similar fashion in round 1 of this tournament. So it's very well possible to keep learning from these experiences, and maybe they won't necessarily win, but at the very least, I think the competition will be a lot better than it was last time.
Absolutely, and then we've heard from both teams. Ray, we've heard from a player on both sides. Has that changed your mindset on this matchup? What are your thoughts now?
We'll see what my mindset is when we get to Preds a little bit later today. But I just think both teams have reasons to be confident. Smelvin, obviously, they won 3-0 last time. Regardless of the rulebook, they still won the match 3-0. And then if you are DYS, you're definitely like, okay, we've made a lot of improvements. It's been a few weeks since that matchup, and we're feeling really good about ourselves. We were able to get a map 5 winner last week. Let's just carry this momentum into the next matchup and show them that we've made improvements. We can beat them this time fair and square.
Love it. Well, let's have a look at the whole lineup there for Smelvin Industries. We heard from Big Nan, and now here's the rest of the team. Big Nan obviously being the tank lineup. We have Mori and Hogglefort on the DPS lineup. Thank you for making me say that on live broadcast. We have Robbie Hash there and Seb on the support lineup there, and of course Big Nan has the Queen, but Hogglefort has the Tracer there. So will Hogglefort go up against Ronan on the Tracer and basically say, I know you called me out, but I'm going to match you anyway. So that's what I'm looking for. And on the side of DYS, we heard from Ronan, of course. So let's have a look at what the rest of the team is. It'll be Ronan and Delta there on the DPS lineup with Best on the tank. You'll have DB and Leaky there on the support lineup, and a very terrifying logo as well for the team. Trust me, if you see it moving, you're not going insane. That's all I will say. So 2 big lineups here in our mid-season finals for the console open tier. So we've heard from both teams. We've looked at both the rosters. This is a finals where we've seen the team already face off before. What are your thoughts as we walk towards this one?
I mean, it's just going to be a good game. Like the thoughts are like, seeing a little bit of both these teams. There's a little bit of confidence, there's a little bit of nerves, and considering what's on the line for the midseason finals, I'm very curious to see how this shakes out. This is probably going to be, I think, a better game than even we give it credit for, just based on hearing, from both the teams and looking at the lineups. I got to imagine this is going to be one that we'll talk about going into the actual final section of the season.
Absolutely, it does feel like it has that weight. It does. You're starting to feel it in the air, but we hinted at it earlier. It's time to look at what we've predicted here. Now, obviously, I usually roll the dice here. Is it a cop-out? Perchance, maybe, but it leaves it up to the fate. So let's.
Yes, it is.
Hey, whoa!
100%, it's a cop-out.
I shouldn't have admitted that. I mean, I brought that up. Let's have a look at what the dice predicted here for this matchup. It was a 3-1 to Smelvin. So the dice predict it won't be as clean for Smelvin, but they will pick up the win again.
So the dice are feeling cowardly today?
Apparently, checks out. I'm using different dice, so maybe that's what it is. Sov, what are your predictions?
So as we all know, I'm contractually obligated to one insane pick at least every one. Admittingly, this one is, even I had to struggle to sell this, but I do actually kind of believe in DYS here. Hearing that interview, I made these predictions before the interview. Hearing Smelvin kind of say we're a little nervous actually gives me a little more hope. I think that DYS actually did the work, put it in, and is going to give us a really, really close game on this. I think maybe they squeak it out, but I think if they earn this, and I think if they really, really want this that badly, they will steal it in the 11th hour. It's going to be tough, but I do think that, you know, this DYS crew probably has it within them. And if not, I mean, well, let's just look back at my score. I've been batting 1,000 all day, Gio. I have nothing but correct answers, obviously.
Clearly. I mean, yeah, as you put in your prediction of 3-2, so you think that they'll get it, but it'll be a tough battle. And honestly, I agree with you. I do actually think that this will be much closer than the previous matchup between the two teams.
Yeah.
Ray, what are your thoughts? What's your predictions on this one?
Yeah, I'm just saying when it comes to Soav, just for a little peek behind the curtains, guys, Soav will also be on NA today. So he already got his contractually obligated pick out of the way. So he can actually go for a real pick at NA today. So have to see how that goes tonight. But I'm not so confident. I think GG is easy 3-0 sweep for Smelvin Industries. They've just been a mainstay at CGL for so long.
Yeah.
Like they got this.
Yes, even though they've got the nerves, you think that this is their time. They're going to get it. They're going to
nerves are good.
Nerves
Nerves mean you're excited and this is important to you. They're going to use that energy to win.
I like that. That's a good take. I like that. Rammer, then, what are your predictions for this matchup?
Yeah, so I've decided to try to will a 3-2 into existence. I still think, I definitely think Smelvin's going to win the game, but I'm really hoping for a good match, so I'm trying to push for the 3-2 in a sense. I do think, like, you know, the aspects of Smelvin saying they're nervous isn't necessarily related to their opponent. I mean, they're kind of in a situation now where they feel like they actually have a chance of winning, whereas before, in some of these ones where they lost before, they were playing against teams like, you know, MME and AFMT, and those teams are teams that when they go into a match, they're almost always favored to win. And so they're kind of in a situation now where those two teams are not, those powerhouse teams are not around, where like, oh shoot, we actually do potentially have a chance of, like, you know, winning the entire thing. So I realize I'm like partially arguing against my own point by saying it's gonna be close, but I do think Smelvin's gonna win. I'm just hoping for a really good game.
Yeah, and you know, considering that like they're the 4th seed, in terms of the actual seeding going into this 4 bracket, so they were the lowest on the seeding of the bracket going in. It just goes to show the confidence that we have in them, that they'll be able to still do it despite that fact. Well, let's have a look what our casters thought before we talk to them. So we have pretty much a Smelvin leaning desk right now. Do the casters also have the same idea? Let's see what Hunter and Megalas thought. Okay, another 3-2.
Classic 5 mapper from Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter never doesn't predict a 5 mapper, man. That's just Hunter's
Classic 5 mapper.
Just trying to hope it into existence, I think.
Look, if we try hard enough, eventually it's going to work.
Now, the real question is, did Headrammer steal Hunter's gimmick, or did Hunter steal Headrammer's gimmick?
I don't know.
It's an Ouroboros. You'll never find out. It's just a constant cycle. Well, Megalas, if they've predicted that it's DYS, then Sov isn't alone. But if it's another Smelvin one, Sov...
No.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's a trio.
I will bear that bit. I will hold that I will hold that flag high, and I will wear that banner for now.
I'm gonna just put it out there, man. Megalas has been very accurate with their picks these last few weeks, so I feel pretty good about being on the same side as Megalas right now.
That is true. Mega's been like in the groundworks. I mean, doing interviews as well, so like right up there with the players. So if anyone has the best insight, it's. But there's no other better insight than actually talking to our casters. So let us introduce who'll be taking you through this wonderful matchup. Let's have a little talk to Hunter and Megalas. How you guys doing? Hunter 10, you're hoping for the 5-0. Do you think it's going to happen?
I think it 100% has a chance to happen, and I think one of the main reasons is because Clash exists. You know how many 3-1s we've had in the season where the 1 has been the Clash? That is the map that can kind of change things around, I think, kind of pivot the direction. So I think we're starting a 2-0 direction, but it could quickly transition over if it doesn't quite go Smelvin's way.
Interesting. And Megalas, you've been doing the interviews, you've been covering a lot of the games, you've probably got the most knowledge of everyone here, but you still think Smelvin's going to do it? You think they're going to clear it?
Yeah, I mean, they have the nerves, but, you know, watching them over these several seasons now, I mean, they've become a staple here in CGL, and I feel like, you know, it might finally be their time. It might be their day in the sun here. They just kind of have it all going for them.
Nice. And before we give you guys the match to cover, how did you guys do on the map? Were you watching? What map is this?
I could feel
we can
Lass
take that.
malding in the background as I'm whipping answers.
Listen. I want you to know the one thing I was upset about was Antarctic Peninsula because I was like, oh, this is Dorado. I've got it locked in. This is like third point. There's a screen somewhere.
Oh,
I'll never forget. That
See,
was
that's the
Antarctic.
funniest thing. I knew it wasn't Dorado because I think he
Yeah.
picked that screenshot to make us think it's Dorado. That's why I didn't pick it.
Probably never.
Well, no more tricksy attempts from Rammer. It's now time to get into our match. Hunter Tane, Megalas, take us into this mid-season finals.
And it should be a heck of a midseason final as well going into this. Both these teams kind of having a big moment, as we've kind of already alluded to before, knocking out the first and second seed, with at least one undefeated team in the situation. But rare the time that it's not the case.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's just one of those things where ultimately sometimes the better teams, they do stumble, they make those mistakes in the regular season, but when push comes to shove, this is where champions are born, Hunter. And I mean, looking at it, it should be a stellar matchup. I believe one of the first finals we're actually getting to cover here for the midseason tournament, so should be exciting as we get a look at the map pool and see all of the different places that we could end up going for our match today. I feel like there's going to be a variety of things to, think about and be concerned with here.
I mean, 100%. And once again, the only thing that's not really going to be into account, which we'll get to our first map in a moment, but once again, the push and the flashpoint are going to be a little bit together in this situation. So there's going to be a choice when we get to that point, but that's something that we'll have to get there. If we have to cross that bridge, because that will be the fourth map, so teams are going to have to go through that control first and foremost. And while it is a loser's pick, normally the first map is pre-decided. And Megalas, we're going to be starting at Samoa. I believe you referred to this earlier as an Apex Legends map. Was that the understanding?
Yeah, especially Volcano. I mean, listen, if you've played Apex Legends, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It looks identical 1-to-1. But Samoa is a very interesting map, right? We see a lot of brawl compositions here. Like, obviously, we've been in this Orisa dominant meta so far, but, it sort of strengthens itself tenfold, right? You do see some of the other brawl picks on occasion, like the Ramatra, the Junker Queen, coming into play across the different submaps, but ultimately, this Brawl v Brawl matchup is what we're going to be looking for here to start this battle between these two teams.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Teams are still leaning very heavily on that Orisa style. Some teams will kind of sell out for their Ramatra or the Diva, but the Orisa's kind of become the big mainstay that is being used more than just about anything. But it's something we're going to have to see from these teams coming out here today, because I think we're going to find out a lot about what these players are comfortable on, what they want to do. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see more of the deep kind of shifting in and out. I think that's just the kind of place we're in right now. But regardless, Samoa going to start us out here. And I mean, whether it's a 1-to-1 to Apex or not, it is a stunning map.
Oh yeah, Overwatch map designers are always in peak form. They come out with some creative, beautiful looking places. Like, look at this. There's a little aquarium sitting above the point here on downtown. I mean, it's just so unbelievably scenic. Of course, our observers as well, keeping a steady hand, giving us these angelic views. But, heading into the matchup, it's going to be one of those things where Smelvin Industries, I do not think the Hog is coming out of spawn, despite Big Nen typing out, though, I'm a one-man apocalypse. Currently, on the other side of things, DYS, a little bit easier to lock down. You have this guaranteed Orisa as well as the Juno in play here, but they're going to be playing it with a Ashe as well as the Mei. No Tracer Insight to start here. Instead, going to be valuing trying to help out that brawl. Meanwhile, Smelvin Industries, their composition is now finally been materialized, and it seems like the Junker Queen is going to be their look.
Yeah, and I don't hate the Junker Queen either. I'm a big Junker Queen enthusiast. I think it's a great idea here, but importantly on this right now, Hogafart being over on this Tracer, not going to have much of a contention from them. Delta's going to have to keep an eye out, and Hogafart, I've seen their main. They play on the University of Kentucky, very renowned for playing their main, so we're seeing them here on the Tracer to start things out, but they want to bust something a little more fast-paced, and it looks like that's the style that they want to keep up. Big Nen already taking a big chunk of health down already here, so struggling to have to use that shout earlier on, which is not what you want to do here in the situation, as currently Big Nen getting forced into a corner, will eventually get deleted. Looks like first fight will go to DYS, and by that means right now, Smelvin, again, if you're on this Queen, you want to be taking fast fights, and unfortunately, that shout got used way too early for their liking.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about being fast, being agile here because DYS's comp, I mean, the longer the fight goes on, the better off they will fare time and again here. It is going to be something to keep in mind. Just the pace that this Junker Queen is going to be trying to move as we go throughout Samoa, and Smelvin's trying to come back in.
Yep, now it's going to be rough as well because eventually you need to force a rotation, and we have a big rotation coming through. Right now, if I see that I'm Smelvin, I'm going in on this. That's exactly what they're going to do. Ronan can be taken out early here, so you lose track of the main. And at that point, you're kind of in a bad situation where you pretty much just have to completely disengage and take the reset.
Disengage and wait for the time being, but that's a good opening for Smelvin here. You get an early flip before ult fights really start becoming a factor here, so that way you're not falling too far behind in that charge. But now, walking forward, DBRX has his orbital ray as the first tool ready for either squad.
Yep, and they are going to go quick as well. Hogafar, though, does have this pulse ready to go. You know they're debating it whether or not. Going to use the coach gun. Delta going to get away from the other point. Looking like it's going to flip over. It is going to flip over for free as well. So eventually, Smelvin Industries is going to come back into the fight. We see a pulse bomb be used. Leaky is going to get caught with the rally as well. So that's going to go down the drain. Big Man essentially going to get solo. It doesn't end up going down. Smelvin eventually going to pull this one around, and they take the better side of things. DYS using 3 ultimates just for the 1, well, actually from the 2 over from Smelvin.
And Smelvin, I mean, being able to kite that, give up a few point percentages, and come back into that exactly the way they needed to, was just beautiful play from them. You're seeing how good this Smelvin squad is, how practiced they are in their rotations. Now, as they take the lead here on this downtown point, they still have the tools to work with. Like you said, this Junker Queen waiting and itching for the chance to use this Rampage.
Yep, Delta already going to get a nice little headshot, getting super low, but as things are, sitting at 55%. Most importantly of all, the fact that Leaky is not going to have this ult ready to go, so there's nothing to really stop Big Man from using this, and they're going to go in and use all 3 ultimates early in the fight, and Seb is going to get caught out with that freeze, and now, I mean, opposite side of things here, Smelvin Industry has not used all 3 of their ultimates. They are eventually going to pull away the fight. It was scary there for a moment, but they will clean this up. It is worthwhile, but all things considered, now, if you're DYS, you kind of want to take a slower fight if possible, because the only thing you're getting close to is that orbital ray.
Yeah, and I mean, their whole composition, it wants to play slower, right? Look for your opportunity, zone people with the May wall, and then use that as your chance to engage here. But, you know, these constant engage, this speed that Urisa's trying to play at is hindering it right now. And Smelvin Industries, they're more than willing to play into this, heading towards their potential final fight.
Yep, 100% Pulse Bomb online here. A stick could be devastating. You know, they're looking for it. Hogafart going to eventually get pushed out with a little bit of a recall. Does have a second opportunity, and they're looking, but we see the bash out right now is Ronan getting super low. Leaky does not need to be caught here, but Hogafar in the same sense does not want to be because no recall to their name. But as things are, it's again the only ult online, but it is have enough time for DYS to get on their own orbital strike and run this down, and now if you're Smelvin Industries, the Pulse Bomb doesn't stick, you just have to take the reset.
A reset for the time being here. The Smelvin, I mean, they have time to work with, right? As long as they don't get staggered out too hard here, but that's what you're seeing DYS try to do as they're pushing forward. But, you know, finally the reset's going to come through. Hogafar is flanking around into the back line, so they have to make sure this this Tracer, rather, is found out, because if they are able to get a pick onto one of these supports, it could be the collapse of DYS before our very eyes.
Yep, 100% and 70% online. I mean, with how slow this fight might go, it might end up being the final fight. We'll go to that 99.99. It's already going to get Seb low there. Robbie Hash, though, going to go in deep as the freeze comes through. It is going to come out online, though, see if they can catch anybody with it. Now going to go for the Terror Surge. Last guess, Esper hoping to find something, but Leaky gets taken down by Big Nan. Now it's just best on the point to try to survive, try to see if they can get anybody back. But at this point, already so low, the point is going to start flipping over. And now it's going to flip back over to Smelvin Industries. Going to see if anybody from DYS can make it back. They're looking. They're trying to get through. They are going to touch momentarily, but the recall not going to come and play in time. Not going to see a recontention, so Smelvin Industries going to be able to pull that one back here. And again, the Junker Queen comp, I mean, worked out very well for this team. Most of the time, if they kept up that fast pace, they won those fights.
Yeah, exactly. And even in the fights where they were losing, you saw it. There was this calm, cool, and collected manner from Smelvin, right? They talked about being nervous in that pre-game interview, but they do not look it at all right now. They have their clear game plan set out, and they're able to get it done at the end of the day on our first round here. That being said, it was not the cleanest engage. So as we're moving through the rest of Samoa here, you expect to see them try to clean it up Meanwhile, on the other side of things, DYS, it's all about slowing that game down if you're playing into the Junker Queen, taking your time, looking for those advantages that the Orisa can bring you because she's so sustainable, so tanky. The longer the fight goes, it's just better for you. And you can't let Smelvin continue to control the pace.
Yeah, 100%. We're going over to the high ground. Both teams looking like they are going to be over here. And now Mori wants to find a nice dynamite to get this going. Looks like they will be able to do so. Building up already to 20% as Big Nan going to get knocked back. Hoping to find something here with this Carnage. But unfortunately, just too much focus in on them. And that's the thing with Smelvin Industries. It's fine if they want to come up here. But with that Maywall, it's so hard to set up an engagement. They have to be timing it a little better. So that first point realistically should go to DYS.
Yep, just going to be their cap here. Nobody really in position to touch. A little bit of a step off for a second, but they managed to get it in the end here. And now it's about holding this high ground positioning. Smelvin going to have to push into their attackers as Hogglefart dang near gets the first kill.
It looks like there's literally one finding the melee, but unfortunately Delta gets it back on them. And with Big Nan going down, I mean, that fight is over as it begun here. And all that really is just DYS getting more time, getting more ult charge.
I mean, big props to Delta, right? Just not, immediately freaking out next to the Tracer, but Hogglefart has given up the hope of this Tracer finding value against the Ashmay, has instead decided the spam damage is the way to go. With a Junkrat now in tow here, it does mean, yes, you have that spam damage, you can punish DYS for grouping as hard as they are, but, you do lack some of that individual agency the Tracer brought.
I mean, you do. Unfortunately, it has gotten punished more and more by Delta. Perhaps it didn't find the value that they were really hoping for back on City Center, but Mori, again, hard to be taken out first, so DYS now has the door open for them here, taking a 4v4, which still could very much favor them now that we don't really have a poke battle. Unfortunately for Big Nan, literally going to get frozen into a corner by themselves. Immortality, not going to save them, and Hogglefart might be seen going back to that spawn room, but looks like they will be able to survive here. But the problem is, Smelvin Industries can't seem to get any real headway here.
No, and, now looking towards this next fight, I mean, you can argue that, DYS is still favored, right? Even being down the Blizzard, they have every other ult to their name. Meanwhile, due to some hero swaps, you're still working towards some of those big impact hitters for Smelvin Industries. So now you have to try to combat this.
Yeah, and now somehow DYS is outpacing Smelvin Industries. That's exactly what they don't want, and now 85% on the board, complete team wipe, and now it's the question if anybody can touch, and I gotta be honest, Megalaz, that is a long way to go, and Hogglefart has gotta get there in time.
Yeah, but I don't know if the Tracer's capable of it, right? There's only so many blinks you have, only so many things you can do here. The percentage is high, but the touch does come in.
Yep, and Bob's going to be on the outside as well. Need to find a secondary touch. Bob's going to be shared out, but Delta going to get the advantage in this situation. Robbie Hash already been taken care of. Best going to have the thing here. Big Nan is going to find a couple with this. Looks like they're going to be able to clean things up here. Just Bronan trying to survive right now. Eventually is going to be taken down. Still kind of alive, hanging around to see if they can get out with their life. Looks like they'll be able to, and Smelvin going to dump the bank to do that, but bright side is DYS do the exact same thing to try to clean things up.
Exactly. Both teams completely investing into that one, hoping it would be the end of the round for DYS, but that just was not the case. Now coming in, though, they do have Dismay. If they can time it and coordinate it with their speed ring, absolutely another big freeze onto Big Nan can secure them this point.
Yep, and the big thing is that nobody can eat this ult either. It's going to get sent out. It's going to catch on to at least Big Nan. They're going to get blown up. And somehow it catches on to Seb as well. But Immortality Field came out just in time to keep them both alive. Maybe just temporarily, though, as Big Nan is down. They know Seb is hiding away at that point. Looking like it's potentially going to flip back over right now. Hogglefart needs to find something here with this pulse, but they're going to die with it in hand. And now, Megalus at this point, it is just touch after touch. It's just going to be stalling for nothingness. And now going to go all the way to round 3 here. Tale of different sides. I mean, again, DYS, they took this comp that is meant to play slower, and they played it quickly, and somehow Smelvin got punished for it most times.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like a full download occurred after that first round. They seem to have realized that the games that Smelvin has been playing so far, simply going in fast with a well-timed shout, sending their Tracer into the backline at the same time here, and they're choosing to, instead of trying to fight this war on two fronts, they're simply immediately turning on this Junker Queen, ignoring the Tracer for the time being, and then able to execute their fight wins that way here. So now heading to the beachfront to decide everything. Both teams making some adaptations. DYS going to go over to the Ramatra look instead here. Meanwhile, Smelvin, they've actually given up the Queen. They're going over to the Orisa, trying to have that equal sustain here. So if you're looking at raw hero picks, sure, the Orisa can survive longer. but I feel like this Ramattra from Best is now going to help DYS keep the tempo even higher.
I mean, that is the big thing, is at the tempo, but at the end of the day, I mean, the best thing you could have ran in this Sumatra was probably going to be in Orisa. That's a great deterrent. It's going to constantly be able to push them back, and as soon as that Nemesis form comes out, that's going to be Big Nan's moment to kind of pull out here and push them back, but they're already investing a lot of cooldowns to try to push them back, as Seb already has invested into this, going to get ranked down immediately. Nothing could have saved them there. Now Delta back on the point, taking the 1v1 against Hongafar, who's going to get taken right out, and once again, good start here for DYS, somehow keeping a faster pace as Smelvin again going to put some swaps on the board.
Smelvin looking, a little bit worse for wear right now, as it is just been DYS stepping up here. Best has been holding the space beautifully, allowing Delta to go to work on this Ashe. These constant dynamites punishing how grouped up Smelvin is. It really is making a massive difference here.
Yep, just going to come out, not going to catch on to anybody in that situation. But we see once again, Big Nan really just focusing on pushing everybody back to that point, nearly manages to flip over. If they get off it for even a single moment, they'll have to give it up, but everybody's just going to drop down, delete Big Nan and Mori, and again, going to go back to the drawing board. Hogafart is going to find one, but the problem is everyone has to take the reset, and Delta is realistically going to get back before the fight starts.
Yeah, I mean, that is, a small window of opportunity, though, right? Especially Hogafart could potentially flank around, try to keep that Ashe far away from the team as possible here, as it is DYS now taking over 50%. Plenty of tools for both squads to work with. I'm probably going to be looking again towards these orbital rays to be the difference maker.
Yep, Pulse Bomb could be big as well right now. You really want to try to get stun to Leaky if possible. They're going around, going to send it through. Had a moment to throw it right there, but looks like they're going to hold on to it. Just try to invest only the one ultimate. They've already gotten a rate of 3 right there. Just best trying to survive as long as they can, but looks like they will not be able to get out. Point will live over at 64%. Not a big investment, but the problem is DYS, they have everything to invest in this next fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Smelvin, they had to invest there. They had to try to flip it, and they are able to secure a fight win. But like you said, 5 ult for DYS here. They can chuck any combo of them into this one. It's just important about how much they have to invest to actually win the fight, because they want to be able to save something to try to get to a final fight after that.
Yep, you already see the speed coming through here as well, trying to run them down. As we see Leaky already going to go down early, so no rally to work with here, but in the background right now, Ronan trying to take the 1v1, not going to pan out. The fight's over just like that, and now it's Best do a slight little bit of staggering here, get a little bit of ball charge on them. You do lose Robbie Hash, but they should be able to get back quick enough to join the fight once again, and now things working out. You only get out one ultimate, though, for that fight.
But it is a very impactful one, right? I mean, this meta has been defined by the Junos and this orbital ray, right? The amount of healing damage that it provides is just absolutely ridiculous. As now Pulse starts this one early, but Hogafart doesn't stick.
Yeah, not quite going to find any money there. Now it's just Mori alone with an ult online, nearly Robbie Hash losing their head early in this fight. And now they're going to be forced back. Bob will be thrown in the center of everything. Literally just runs into Hogafart on the way there. And now that point's going to secure as if it was nothing. And if you're Smelvin Industries, it's a 4v5. You need to get out of here.
You absolutely have to run. You have to make sure that you can reset for a final potential fight here, as we're already seeing DYS. They're so high in percentage. It is going to be close at the end of the day here. Both teams still with tons of tools to work with. You're probably going to be looking for this Deadeye.
Yep, you need to bring that down. You need to get at least one, but you held it too long. Done out of it, and now they're cleaning things up. 88% on the board. Just Hogafart still alive. If they get taken out now, there's not going to be a retouch. They're trying their darndest. It is not going to happen. So DYS gonna take the first map here on Samoa, pulling things back, making it happen, and again outpacing a team that most of the times should have been playing faster. Megalas.
I mean, exactly. DYS. I talked about it earlier. It felt like a download that first round. It was back and forth, but it seems like they immediately caught on to Smelvin's tricks, proving, like they said, that they've learned from last time. The adjustments have been made here, so now it is fully in Smelvin's court here. They have to find a way to respond. They have to try a way to slow down this aggression, everything that's coming at them. Because, otherwise, Smelvin Industries, they could see another potential title slip through their fingers.
Yeah, and again, they look strongest on that very first map as well. They made this fast tower, but then throw Hogafar over on this Junkrat. And next thing you know, I mean, Bronan was just catching Big Nan in every single wall, in every single freeze. That's their main target because they knew that they could drill them down. So not playing well in their hands. That's why you understand Big Nan kind of switching over to the Orisa when you eventually get over to Beach. But unfortunately, even then, it doesn't really work out all that well right now. Delta was constantly catching on to Hogglefart and Mori. Ronan was constantly there to help take care of Big Nan whenever they wanted to invest. And Robbie Ash, unfortunately, got caught out in a lot of these fights here. And you can tell, again, just right here, Delta kind of putting the team on the back in some of these fights here, taking care of these DPS. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Megalas, it's still the fact that we went to all 3 rounds. All of them were relatively close. So this proves that these two teams are pretty neck and neck with each other in terms of skill.
And that's what you'd expect from a grand finals, right? We are dealing with the best of the best in the tier right now. And so it is going to be something that has to be looked at throughout this match here as you get a view of our stat line. And I mean, you know, it's so odd, right? We've been talking about the tanks so much in these metas, but really both Big Nan and Best were simply holding space, doing exactly what a tank is supposed to do on paper, while it was the DPS stepping up there. You see it in the final plo count. I mean, Delta with 13, absolutely insane delivering power from the Ashe here. And again, I mean, Smelvin, they just didn't have that same impact after round 1. So potentially, you know, with a map pick under their belt, they can sort of start to find their footing again. But I mean, DYS, they came ready to play.
I mean, they 100% did. And the thing is that there's no, like, big disparity in these stats either. That's the biggest thing to know right now. It's not like there's, like, one person who's, like, extremely over another person. Everyone is relatively neck and neck. And again, that's exactly what we want to see here today, is these teams being neck and neck, clearly having their advantages, and as we have already seen, disadvantages as well. So now it's going to be the question of where they want to be able to go next. Again, Smelvin Industry going to have their pick, and they're going to be able to pick a hybrid map here. They have a choice between Hollywood, Midtown, Paraíso, and Megalas. A lot of those maps do kind of scream towards that area of dive. It's something you see a lot on Paraíso, you see it a lot in Hollywood. It could technically be done on Midtown too. I think it just comes down to a Smelvin just wants to kind of double down on the Sarisa style, or maybe try to go to the Diva and try some dive.
Exactly, and I feel like, you know, that will be the determining factor here. And it's been, you know, something with this whole mid-season, right? We've seen a lot of teams, you know, be able to sort of become dive tricks thanks to the map pool and things of that nature here. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's just, if the dive is in the wheelhouse, right, you can't always guarantee that. Sometimes you have some deeper rosters. They like to sub players in and out, make sure that they have the best in on those roles. But something I do want to highlight really is just the fact that, you know, we heard it in the interview. Ronan was like, hey, don't match me on Tracer, but you didn't see a lot of Tracer coming out from the side of DYS. They simply were able to find other ways, other means to shutting things down.
Yeah, they put a lot of the resources again into taking care of Big Nan. Whenever they overaggressed even slightly, they would get walled off, they would get froze, they would get cut off, speared away, whatever it would take to separate from their team and eliminate them. But Junker Queen, not something we're likely going to see with our next pick going through here, because Megalas, we are heading over to Hollywood for our second map. This is, I mean, potentially dive central.
It's what you'd expect, right? Especially, even if it's not dive, it's going to be some brawl comps that have to take control and positioning of the high ground here. Both teams are going to be relying on those hit scan carries, I feel like, as we saw Delta on the Ashe looking amazing. And, you know, on the other side of things, Smelvin, Mori might have to try to step up to that challenge here, simply because, you know, these high grounds across all 3 points, they're just so unbelievably devastating. It's pretty much free real estate unless you have the enemy team committing to a dive to remove you from the equation. And so, you know, just being able to secure that, actually get what they need here, is going to be one of the main difference makers in this fight. As we do actually have a sub, you saw Tobbs coming in on that tank roll, so potentially Big Nan had enough of it, didn't want to get punished anymore.
Yeah, 100%. That could be the case as well. It also is probably very much the fact that they're going to switch over to a Doom Fist style as well. We saw the Doom kind of eluding, kind of sitting there, so it honestly wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the avenue that they take, but we'll be able to get things started here again, since it is the map pick of Smelvin Industries. DYS does get the choice of whether to attack or defend first, and this is not something we see every day right now, as DYS looking like they're going to be opting to go on the attack first, which, as I said, not the common choice here. A lot of teams love to defend first, kind of set their mark for how far they have to push here, but perhaps there's just a confidence of what they want to try to run here on this attack.
I imagine it is the confidence, right? They seem like a pretty confident, capable squad here, and it that's sort of the difference, right? Setting your mark on defense versus setting the pace on attack. And DYS, they've been able to set the tempo so far in the series, so why not keep it going? As you're seeing the Diva look for both squads here, going to be an exact mirror actually down to the T of a pretty standard meta, with the Tracers and Ashes both, again, trying to work with each other. Delta is going to have a harder time of it, though, at least to start, trying to shoot from the low ground up above.
Yep, biggest thing to note is we are in a complete mirror this time around here. Hagafart is going to have to deal with Bronan being over here on the Tracer to match them. Same with Mori and Delta going at it once again here, but first thing and foremost, want to clear them off the high ground. Tob's eventually going to get forced off, trying to come back on and force it as much as they possibly can. And the bright side right now is Robbie Hash is going to get a lot of charge off of this right now, but again, just the job of trying to force him off over and over again. But at the very least, this is buying more and more time to set up whatever they want to set up here, because this isn't like where you're running it on a brig where you throw the nade and then you engage. It's going to be weird. You have to go all in this scenario with your Diva, with that Hyper Ring. To see it come out, his bodies are going to go on the point Megalast. This is a very slow developing fight.
Exactly, but it's just the attacker slowly taking space away from the defenders. Now it is a high ground war here between these two squads, looking for their engage opportunity, but the peel has been good so far from Tobbs, and that's what the defense needs right now, to just be able to cycle this point until one of their DPS can come up big.
Yeah, looks like it will happen. Mori and Seb are already going to go down here, and with as much as already been taken away as Tobbs is going to get taken out of that mech, we're looking at a point where DYS should be able to cap his first point without any more real trouble here. They do have the chance to come back with a lot of ultimates, but the problem is they're not nearly close enough, and if you lose that fight, you lose on a lot of high ground.
Exactly, and it's why you're seeing no sort of re-engage from the defense here. Smelvin is much more focused with that high ground here. Lose the battle, win the war, I believe is the way the saying goes here. Now both teams are building up to pretty much every single ultimate in the game. Seb going to be the only one lacking behind there, but so tons of tools. Probably going to be looking towards these Tracers to potentially open it up with some pulse bombs, unless these Divas have something to say about it.
Yep, 100%. You're right. So you kind of a lot of bodies sitting in the select area. Pulse bomb did come out from Hagafart. Not going to find any value this time. So Bronan has their own on the line here as biggest thing, Megalast. Lots of ults on the line. We're looking at 8 overall ults having in effect right now. Seb potentially going to have that 9th here pretty soon. But as things are, the question becomes, how much do you want to invest here if you're DYS right here? And for the time being, Robbie Hash going to invest first for Smelvin Industries. Going to see if they can get anybody. A lot of people getting low, but Hagafart somehow going to be the first one to go down. Pulse bomb will come online as long as Sleeky is going to try to use his rally as well, and it's going to pay off, and Tobbs is going to try to hit that remake, but it's not going to work out. So now, all DYS has done has traded 2 for 2 here and have won the fight off of that.
They've won the fight, and they've been able to get this payload to continue moving here, and it's, again, without that much investment, whereas Smelvin, they threw in one of the biggest ults. Again, that orbital ray is out here. Smelvin, they're going to be looking to have to retake control of this high ground, but it's only so long.
Yep, good Bob placement right there. Not so good Bob placement right there. So Bob's just kind of going to sit around right now as Delta does get taken care of, and finally, looks like we have a situation where DOS is going to be shut down here. Smelvin Industries going to be able to finally take a fight here, and biggest thing of all, they're going to have a little bit of a stagger.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's no cliffs in the scenic Hollywood Hills for our Diva to, run to try to reset, so it will just be some Hagafart pulse pistols doing that job. But, I mean, again, Smelvin Industries, this is exactly what they need. Now they can take control of the high ground, they can set Mori up in these positions, but your DPS players, they have to be delivering when you're giving them all these resources. Meanwhile, DYS, they potentially could even try to not take high ground here. It would be risky, but just pass the cart with the ults you have and see what happens.
I mean, 100%. Again, they have that advantage right now. The orbital raid cannot be matched right now by Robbie Hash. So, DYS decides they want to go and aggressive. They can. It looks like there's going to be the option right now. Hagafart and more getting super low here. Going to have to force out a bit of a, force out that recall, as well as Mori being in a rough situation. Going to be able to get out of it. And that's the biggest thing right now, and especially that Best is going to have to waste the bomb here. Pulse bomb not going to nail, as they will get taken down in time. So with that remech, Smelvin Industries has an opportunity to potentially match back, but they're already in a 5v3. Robbie Hash hoping to find something here as Zeb is pretty much buying time by dying as Tubbs and Robbie Hash only 2 remaining, trying to run on the back line. And the thing is, Megalast, it's kind of working. We're back in a 2v1, and even with Robbie Hash going down, mean, the rest of Smelvin Industries has bought enough time for the rest of their team to come back and just re-solidify that defense.
And again, we talk about it, Orbital Ray, just so powerful. The healing, the damage boost, everything you could ever ask for, all in one. It even keeps it moving for you, so the defense is able to hold for the time being. But Tobbs is a little bit forward here, could potentially get demeched as DYS is already ready to go.
Yep, looks like they do have their own remech back if they so needed, but you don't want to have to use this line if you don't have to right now. But biggest thing is they're going to get forced off a high round. Tobbs is going to invest, and with that, they're going to get knocked out of the mech. And now it's the question of whether or not they can survive. They can't. No one's going to go down either from that. So now, again, 5v4 situation here for DYS. Mori are going to be taken out of the fight. And realistically, that should be the second point involved right there. Hogapart is going to come out, do a little bit of stalling right now. It is doing some work, but the rest of Smelvin Industries does have to make their way back. Seb, looks like those teams going to invest as well. Mori coming up on this bomb as well. Seb cannot go down. Unfortunately, they will. And while you've traded out, you can't be trading out to this degree. Tobbs not going to have that bomb online. Mori, if they can get that Bob, they could potentially do this. The Bob is sitting on the cart, and now as soon as they get rid of this Bob, they should realistically be able to claim right now. Because if anybody can make it back in time, looks like they won't. A little bit of bomb for good measure. So 2 minutes on the clock here. Both teams investing a lot into that fight, especially Smelvin, that really tried to make a comeback.
Yeah, and I mean, these Smelvin fights, they keep investing heavily into them, and while I don't want to say it's looking desperate at points, I mean, it's really what it's starting to feel like. They're coming up clutch, they are winning some of these defensive fights, but it really feels like they're just chucking things at a wall, hoping that they will stick. Their organization is pretty much gone right now. You're going to be looking towards a stabilization effort now as DYS is slowly approaching from all angles, looking for their opportunity to make this attack work.
Yep, playing at this very first corner over here. Going to see what they can accomplish. Hogafar going to send out another pulse. Unfortunately, once again, not going to get the value you hope for as we're going to see a Bob be used. Double DPS ultimates being used by DYS here. And for the time being, all it's really done is bought them the space to work with and get down this final corridor. But most important thing, Megalast, minute left on that clock. That's realistically 2 fights right now for DYS. But the biggest thing, if you're Smelvin Industries, you can kind of give up a little bit of this space here. Make it work. Take this out into the open where you can take advantage of the fact that you're about to have this Orbital Ray online to match.
Exactly here, but we'll have to see if they can do that. We are, within sight of that end post for DYS, and they're getting the first pick.
And that's important because Mori is about to have this Bob as well. So now, Robbie Hash is going to send this in first just to get them a little bit of space. But, of course, you're going to see the match here. Robbie Hash going to be taken out, Seb not too far behind. And now Tobbs has to hope they can throw this bomb up and get some value out of it. See if they can get the remech. No one is going to get taken out by it, but they will find the remech. But they're going to be quickly taken back out. And now Megalast, these last 20 seconds are going to be super important. Mori doesn't get the bomb off either. And now it's just ring contestants coming through here. Gonna see if they can push this into potential overtime right now. Seb and Robbie have to focus on surviving right now, but here it comes the Annihilation, trying to wipe them away. It's just Tobbs back on the point. Mori not gonna make it out, and 4 seconds on the clock. DYS finish with time, and Mori never able to get that Bob out. That is devastating.
I feel like that's what was happening time and again. It's not just one person here. The entirety of Smelvin, like I was saying, they're looking a little bit frazzled, a little bit, scatterbrained, if you will. And Mori is just, one of the shining examples of that right now. So many times we were hoping for that Bob to come in at the right place, but that kind of, had to be mistimed, sent in alone as stall efforts instead, and just not able to sort of get that footing, get that pacing that Smelvin needed to be able to continue this defense here. DYS, they absolutely have a good read on their opponent. They're playing at a top level right now. It's just a matter of, they're doing what they have to do. It's completely on Smelvin to formulate some sort of comeback. They have to calm it down, try to regain control of this game.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I'm noticing right now is it feels like constantly Smelvin is kind of playing behind on most of these fights, and you can kind of see it as well from the death toll. Obviously, the supports are going to be about the same right now, but you look at Mori, who has died 6 times, Hogglefort 5 times, but Delta and Bronan only have died 2 times apiece, and on top of that, Best has only gone down once in the entire situation, but obviously look at these damage numbers, and Mori is still putting in a massive ton of damage right now. The most in the lobby right now, which is impressive, but the problem is they're not finding many fight wins off of that damage.
Not even fight limbs. They're not being converted into limbs, as you saw, only 4 to their name there. So, sure, you're putting out a lot of damage, but it means that the other supports on the other side of things are doing their job. DB, RX, and Leaky healing everything that comes their way here. So now Smelvin on their attack, They have to, you know, take this high ground once again, but you're seeing Best is very hesitant to give it up.
I mean, of course you are. You're going to be very hesitant about that right now because that's the first step to doing this. But Tops is going to go over. The Hyper Ring is a little late in that regard. But regardless of the fact right now, Bronan Best got into a bit of a rough situation. As the point is starting to take a little bit of capture right now. Delta already been taken out. Best getting super low. Going to be taken out of the mech as well. We saw before DYS have a super fast attack here on their first point. And with Best being out of the mech right now, there's a grand possibility that Smelvin Industries is looking to do the exact same thing here because the recontestment, it looks completely out of the books now. But with that death, maybe they're thinking about it, they're baiting it, but it doesn't look like they can recontest.
No, nobody else is in position, so even though Hogglefart goes a little too far, it will be Smelvin. Again, very similar attack tactic here, being able to sort of take these high grounds one after another and then get the dive engage that they want. I think something as well to point out that Smelvin that we don't really notice as much is Seb on this Baptiste, right? Instead of the Brig, it means a little bit less of that guaranteed, you know, protection, but it means that right there, the damage.
Oh. Yeah, again, Delta gonna go down here to start off this fight. Seb being on this Baptiste. Baptiste not used a whole lot in today's meta right now, but still can provide a ton of healing. At the very least, that becomes your #1 target if you're DYS with your Diva, with your Tracer. But at the end of the day, they still have a lot of sustainability, and now you can already see them swinging wide, trying to deliver pressure to Leaky. But all things considered, that bot slowly moving along as things continue, and Megalast 4.5 minutes on the clock, 4 ultimates, potentially 5 tier 8. Smelvin finally has some momentum in their hands, and that's a way to get it started right there. Already on pick on the Dibrix right there, and now, I mean, Megalast, this is just not looking good from a DWS that had so much momentum to start it out, but that should likely seal it up, but they're just going back and forth, Megalast. They won't even let me finish.
No, I mean, but that back and forth is what DYS needs right now. It's starting to look scrappy for them, very similar to how Smelvin was appearing on their defense, as now the Diva Bomb's out.
I'll go for it. Pretty much opting to not use their recall just for the fact that they could get out of there alive. Gonna see the bit of a chase right now, but with Ronan getting out of there, gonna see a little bit of a reset from Smelvin Industries right there, and SCs are ult advantage in their favor. Not for very long though, so if they're ult tracking correctly, they want to take this engagement first.
Exactly, and, you know, it's about Smelvin, you know, again, sort of calming it down, getting a soft reset here, and Seb again being the opener.
Somehow Seb is just finding so many picks over on this Baptiste, and they're going to clear away this high ground. That point slowly moving along. That Bob is going to get 0 value, but this one coming through in the backside as Delta is going to find one. You see this fight's completely taking online up this upside right here. Eventually the Bob hanging in the back is going to eventually make some kind of impact, but the problem is, again, Best and Delta are there to find the picks, to clean things out, so Smelvin throwing a couple ults down the drain, and Tobbs, unfortunately, is going to be given very, very similar treatment on the stagger.
Exactly, and, you know, something we have to highlight, Best has been so unbelievably good in this match so far, especially here now on the Devo, right? Anywhere Tobbs goes, you're seeing Best immediately be right behind a defense matrix, being able to absorb a lot of that damage, constantly being a nuisance, applying pressure where it's needed. And that's one of the tricky things about Devo right now. Ever since we've gone to this solo tank world, it feels like she has to do everything at once by herself. But Best, I mean, it feels like there's 2 of them on the battlefield. It's just everywhere all at once.
So it feels right now, and already coming up on 12,000 damage is Best right now. Again, only 2 deaths to their name. Nice Matrix over on to that night Matrix. Unfortunately, we're just seeing if they can find a pulse. 5v3 on the board right now. Best needs to try to stay alive, try to find somebody in this backline, but it's falling apart at the seams right now as you're going to take that stall to the point here. But got to see whether or not Best is willing to, unfortunately, not really getting that bump to even think about investing it. So, Smelvin going to finish, going to have 3.5 minutes, almost double what DYS ended up having before. So, great start for them here, and finally making some really good headway as a team.
And the good thing is you know what your end goal is, right? You don't have to technically worry about if you finish in overtime or anything like that, because the 4.3 seconds means that as long as you finish, you're going to extra rounds, no draw or anything like that. You can completely focus on the here and now, which is what you're seeing them do, right? Smelvin already set up on this high ground, denying the space away from DYS budget for their defense, making it just look so good.
Yeah, that's what you want, but the problem is Best kind of falls off right there, and they're going to get taken out, going to have to force a remake. That is not where you want to run into a bomb right there. Going to see if they can find the remake kill, but unfortunately not going to be found. And now, at this point, moving along, this is a super important fight, Megalast. If Snow Industries managed to open up this fight, managed just to force somebody out of the mech, it would be fantastic. But with Hogafar already down, you're kind of forced to back out. But I mean, again, Zeb is just the third DPS on the team, finding pick after pick, staying alive right now as they're getting a bunch of pressure from Best, who's going to demech and does not have the recall to be able to get back into it.
And that means this payload is going to keep on moving. Delta now probably feeling very much like Mori in the last round. You have to get this Bob. It feels like DYS so close to so many ultimates, but close doesn't count. They have to actually get that damage, earn them online, and be able to cast them towards the payload here as it's rolling on in.
Yeah, gonna see an early animators be used, and again, Seb gonna manage to find one right now. Bob is ready to go, it's online firing through, and again, like before, Delta this time, not gonna be able to get anything. The bomb gonna be thrown on it right now. Best not gonna be able to hit the remake, and now they're gonna finish with just under 2 minutes, and with the way things were, they're gonna move up to 2:53 in the time bank, while DYS gonna go to a minute, and that's where that 4 seconds really comes into play, because if they cap 5 seconds slower on that original attack, this wouldn't even be a question. It'd be a draw at best here for DYS. So that 3 or 4 seconds making a massive impact.
1 minute now, all DYS has to work with. You can do a lot in a minute, but it does generally limit your options, right? We're probably going to continue to see this matchup, not fully in the mirror as we have had Seb on this Baptiste here, but, you know, it's going to be a similar approach about taking the high ground away from the defense, sort of denying it from Smelvin on this initial attack, and then DYS having to actually capitalize again, and that's where you're looking towards your DPS players. Bronin and Delta have to make something click here in this 1 minute that they have. Look at this turnaround, though, in the stats for Smelvin.
I mean, it is incredible. Again, you look at Mori, finally getting a lot more eliminations, have the most final blows as well on their squad. 17,000 damage, but the biggest thing as well, Seb, who the stats might not show it, but still putting up a ton of healing and damage, was a massive fixture on that original attack right there. And now, going into things, looks like we're not really going to see much of a change up in the lineup. Ronan was baiting us a little bit here, but now a minute on the clock. And for DYS, the kind of way that they were playing before and how long they played on the high ground, this could very realistically be a one-fight point.
Exactly here, and that's the thing. It takes so long. You have to path to this high ground. You have to actually establish presence here because you want your DPS, Delta and Bronin, to both be able to use it as they're jumping off point. Best, though, already, you know, helping their team gain this as they walk forward.
Yep, here I see space being taken away right now. Just having Best on that high ground, constantly going to be able to, while they're taking damage, get healed for it as well. And that's going to be a nice dynamite placed around from both of these Ashes. Trying to burn away, trying to find something. As right now, DYS hoping to get that first tick unlocked. You're going to see a bit of a chase right now. Delta does manage to get rid of Robbie Hash, but unfortunately, Tom's not able to secure their own kill. So now, again, in a 4v5 situation, able to turn it around right now, Hogafart going to be able to get rid of their counterpart. First tick is going to come through in time. That is the bare minimum of what you need here, but Delta still online. Delta still firing away, has 2 to their name now. Hogafart likely not going to be able to survive for too much longer, but Tom's constantly staying as a fixture in this game. And with Robbie Ash making their way back, it looks like 37% might be the max of what we see here today. As we see trying to get back right now, DBRX hoping to get something, but a bomb going to be thrown in for good measure. And now not looking like there's going to be a recontention. 37% right there. That is barely over a tick, and all things considered, that is not much to achieve right now if you're Smelvin Industries.
No, and I mean, this just goes back to me thinking about Smelvin's initial attack, right? How quickly, in just about a minute, they were able to unlock the entirety of Point A here. So, you know, absolute great task here for DYS that they're up against right now if they want to try to keep the lead in this series. And, you know, again, it's going to have to come back probably on the back of Best right now. I mean, they've been doing a lot, absolutely amazing on the Diva, like I was saying. But, you know, you almost have to ascend even further beyond like an anime character just to sort of be able to mitigate what Smelvin Industries is doing now that they finally seem to have woken up and come online.
Yeah, that's the way it definitely feels right now. We see the Smelvin Industry team earlier on. They felt really strong in that very first point there back on the Junker Queen, and things, it never quite felt the same until we got to their first attack here. So, hoping for similar success on the second attack right here. And again, the important thing is that someone has got to be a constant fixture on that point. Usually if you're defending first points, you're able to give up a tick or two to kind of maintain positioning to get things back together. That's not the case this time around. Someone's have to be constantly on the point, and that's why I think Bronan is coming over here on the Mei, just so they can constantly have somebody that can drop down on that point and be able to sustain long enough.
And I mean, the Mei, it's a very risky gamble, right? Because for the defense, if it works out, it's amazing, right? Those walls, they can zone, get those picks as you need in the fight here, but not having that tracer, that agency, is going to allow Hogofart to run wild!
And they're going to trade out, but again, this is going to favor Smelvin Industries in this situation. You've gotten rid of the long-term hit scan from Delta right now. Tubbs is going to get a little bit of bullying going on right now, but it's still a 44. You're going to get Hogofart back way faster, and now for DYS, this is where to struggle a little bit. Everyone's forced into a weird positioning right now. If you can manage to find a pick right now, if you're Bronan, if you can find Seb or Robbie Hash, that would be phenomenal. But as things are, they're being forced to play on this point, and now they're going to be caught out. Bronan already taken out. Robbie Hash surviving on the point here. Hogofart being taken out, but maybe the damage is already done. Both sports trying to come back, trying to do their jobs here, trying to live on the point, but it's easier said than done. Smelvin Industries gonna force a 37%, gonna turn this one into a 1-1 here. They felt much more comfortable on their attack.
Yeah, I mean, there must have been an insane pep talk or something like that after that attack from, you know, the side of DYS. It was starting to feel a little bit oppressive, a little bit hopeless, but, you know, the side of Smelvin, they make some adjustments. I think the big one, obviously, was Seb on that Baptiste, you know, being an extra damage dealer in the fight, creating more space, more opportunity for the rest of Smelvin Industries to get to work on this map here. And, you know, it shows why they picked Hollywood. They had confidence in it, even if it didn't look the best from them at times. They were able to clean it up in the end, and now, like you said, we're tied up one apiece here, and it feels like we have a good grand final on our hands.
It really does feel that way now, and again, it seems very back and forth, but the things with these, both of these teams, when one of them grabs on the momentum, they're able to secure it for a pretty long while here. Again, we see Smelvin Industries able to finish with just under 2 minutes to their name, which, for a map like Hollywood, is a lot to finish with. It's not an easy map to even finish at all, and even managing to finish with 2 minutes is fantastic. These little bit of staggers we saw here as well, but, I mean, overall, I'm impressed with the turnaround from their first map here, especially Seb. I want to talk a lot about Seb and Robbie Hash's backline, who has been doing a lot of work. We've seen the back and forth between Bronan and Delta, between Hogofart and Mori, but it's these supports that are staying alive, keeping things going, and taking care of business. Again, Magalus, we saw Seb earlier on that Baptiste on the attack. They could not be stopped.
You know, I mean, when you have a character like that, just being able to get the opening pick, right, especially when it's no longer a DPS, it adds such an extra level to the game, right? We talked about how great Tobbs was doing, or not Best on the other side of things was doing on this D.Va, being everywhere at once. But, you know, when you finally actually had to be everywhere at once, you can't DM a Baptiste, an Ashe, and a Tracer at the same time. You have to pick and choose your battles, and it seems like, you know, wherever they went, just the rest of the team was able to pop off. Beautiful turnaround for Smelvin here as we get a, you know, obviously we have these stats, but the head-to-head of our Ashe players, you know, Mori, I said it going into this map, it felt like Delta had Samoa on lock here, but, you know, Mori stepped up in spades.
I mean, 100% as well. Delta felt like they were on fire after that first map, and for a while, they were on fire as well going into Hollywood. They were constantly finding the 2K, the 3Ks, making a lot of these fights happen, but Mori kept slipping their way through. They kept finding a lot of damage, and you could tell, look how close all these stats are. They're 2 deaths apart, 1 final blow apart, 1 elim apart, 2 percentile apart in that weapon accuracy, but that damage is the big standout. A 6,000 damage difference, and in a game of Overwatch that is determined by meters, by percentiles, 6,000 damage is a big difference.
Exactly. It means that unless there's a healer somewhere with 6,000 healing exactly, that, you know, there's not, that impact is going to be felt time and again here, and this is what Smelvin, you know, need. Now that they look a little bit more composed, a little bit more calm, they definitely need to, you know, continue this look if they want this title to be theirs. DYS, though, again, you're playing close. You already have one map under your belt, and now you're getting the next map pick heading forward. So plenty of momentum for both of these teams here.
Yeah, 100%. Something that's going to have to be seen here. We know Clash is going to be our next map type, but before that, we are going to cut to a quick break, give these teams a minute to rest up, because I think we're going to have a super long one on our hands here.
Memories Memories.
Motherfucker said Seb's on the radar. Did we watch the same game? Did we see what this motherfucker was? This motherfucker cracked that shit open with Baptiste.
Hey, Megalast, we are live on the air as things are right now. We're welcome to bring y'all back into this one right here. 1-1. Smelvin Industries, DYS budget approved here to try to take away here the mid-season finals here for the EU Console Open. Megalast, it has been a bit of a back and forth affair between these teams thus far. And as things are right now, Smelvin Industries tend to be favoring that dive composition a little more. Meanwhile, DYS budget proofs seem to be a little stronger at that brawl-like composition. So between the map pool and everything we have here, between our 4th and 5th map type, I mean, this 3rd map is going to be super important to fighting how the rest of the series is going to go down.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the break, just how much this could determine everything, right? Because heading forward into maps 4 and 5, there's plenty of dive and brawl maps on either side of things. We clearly have seen right now, Smelvin is preferring the dive comps with the Diva, whereas Samoa was clearly a brawl favor for DYS here. So depending on map pick and things of that nature, I mean, like you said, Hunter, this absolutely can be the determining factor in the entire series here on Clash. And, you know, it's crazy to have a series determined by Clash in that way because of how just absolutely distinct and different the game mode is.
I mean, that's the way it 100% feels right now, and obviously we're going to check out this 3rd map here. Not a whole lot to choose from, but let's say we're going to go over to Hanaoka here to get things going. I've seen a lot of teams more favoring the Anubis in that situation, but there's got to be a reason why you would pick this map as well, because a lot of teams favor to go over to Anubis. And I think there's got to be something cooking in the wheelhouse here at Megalast, because this is a map that is a little more wide open, that honestly, it favors the brawl, or not the brawl, the dive a little bit more in comparison to something like Temple, or more so Anubis itself. So I'm curious to see what they want to bring out here, because there's got to be some plan behind going to Hanaoka and not Anubis.
Exactly here, especially for DYS to be the ones to pick this, right, when we've been heralding them on the brawl here. And, you know, it could be potentially a prepped strategy. You know, we're going to spoil this ahead of time, but they have made some substitutions. Some players have come into the lineup, and that could be the difference maker here for them, what they're planning to do, at least on Hanaoka. As much as I've seen this map breakdown, I've seen so many different things here, Hunter. I'm sure you have as well. But Wrecking Ball was going to be the one I said, and our tank sub Reno has that hero highlighted.
Yeah, we see Reno coming in as well as Sekba. And the important thing is that you're getting Delta out of the lineup, which means you're not carrying the Ashe anymore, but Mori's still in, so Mori might not have a whole lot to deal with here if they don't have their Ashe counterpart kind of waiting for them, but something we're going to have to see here on Hanaoka. Remember, 1st to 5 will take away the map here. And the most important place on a lot of these points is going to end up being that middle point, that C point where most of the fights are going to go down. But something we're going to have to see here. I mean, what are you cooking right now if you're DYS making 2 subs like this? You're cooking ball, right? It's got to be.
It's got to be like or something unique, right? I mean, you and I were talking about it as well during the break. Like, Best has probably been the best player on DYS so far, no pun intended. Just with how dominant they've been across a few different tanks here. So, you know, if you're making this sub, you're expecting it to be for a specific hero reason of, you know, one of those niche heroes like the Wrecking Ball and stuff. But for the time being, in their spawn, they're hovering over a Ramatra Venture composition. And, you know, this doesn't seem like anything special.
No, I'm kind of saying what the scallops, because the vision is difficult to see right now, because all things considered, both these teams, they kind of want to play fast, but the thing is that Reno and the rest of DYS, they get the ability to play faster, because Tubbs is the one that has to use these bubbles, or the one that has to get this charge to have that value over them. That's why you're seeing them kind of, you know, take a little bit of a step over here. They don't want to take that 1-to-1 brawl quite yet until they build up that charge, until they manage to kind of focus DYS and put them out of their positions. But as things are, Brand doing a good job of forcing them into a room right now, and Immortality Field already going to be used, and I mean, DYS has already sectioned them into a nice little small room to start things out.
Beautiful. taking of the space here for DYS. But now they're going forward.
Cycla already been caught out here. Gonna see if they can find one of the DPS. Ronan not gonna find it though. Now Smelvin Industries looking like they're gonna be able to start clearing things out a little bit here. Reno gonna see if they can get out, but the Fan the Hammer not gonna be enough, or more so Reno not gonna be enough to handle that Fan the Hammer. So point gonna start flipping over, and with the picks being found, DYS gonna have to give away this first point. So Smelvin Industries start out strong here, playing the long game with this Zarya.
Long game with the Zarya, but also this Cassidy from Mori, right? I mean, it shuts down DYS perfectly, right? Both Venture and Tracer, incredibly scary to go against the Cassidy for them here. And these headshots just ringing true!
Oh my, Reno literally dropping down so low, but Bronan is there to follow things up here. It's so hard to track down that Venture as well. So now rough situation, Bronan gonna get forced away right now. Tops is sitting super low, gonna lose out on all that charge here, but the fight's still kind of going on a little bit here. Salgafar eventually gonna be forced out of here. Point potentially gonna be flipping over, with everybody kind of still hanging around. A retouch is possible, and it looks like they're debating it.
They're debating a touch here, but it's one of those things where it might just not be worth it. But the Tracer's here, and that can be stall.
Yeah, but it's only gonna stall for so long here. They're gonna barely be on the point here. Mori has to stay alive. They're gonna get rid of 2, and they get off the point, unfortunately, so it's not gonna fully cap over, and that means a big old clear out. Smelvin Industries potentially going to make this a 2-0 right now. Mori already sitting at 3,000 damage in DYS. The fact that Juno died later than everybody else means they don't get that speed boost. That means they might want to contest. They could if they wanted to, but that touch is going to barely pop on through. And now Matrix going to be used here. They're eventually going to force off the point a little bit. Reno getting lower and lower and lower. Does not have all the sustain. And Megalast, this touch, this investment of 2 more ultimates is going to cost cost DYS greatly here. As not only they give up the second point, but they throw away almost all their ultimates to try to pull that away.
Smelvin has been pooling their resources and using them in a very effective manner here. You see these bubbles from Tobbs. They're not just all about getting energy for the Zarya. They're coming through exactly when somebody on the team needs saving, you know, when Ronan comes in on this Venture, trying to displace and find a solo target to remove, you know, these bubbles being here, the immortality field helping out. And you're seeing a strategy becoming more and more common with push, where Smelvin, they just are not even going to attempt to assault this last point. They're going to let DYS get the point and then just simply reset themselves up on a point D here with favorable positioning.
Yeah, it's really hard to take away that A or that E point. And a lot of teams, like you said, have been opting to literally just say, you know what, we don't feel like it. We don't want to invest here. But biggest thing to note right now is you're coming up on a little fun combo here with that grab and that pulse bomb. And with DYS and their ability with what they have, if that sticks, there's nothing that really stops them from kind of having that go through. And now it's going to shoot. It's going to go on. Going to find the 2K. That's exactly what we were waiting for. And it's going to clear them off. It's going to make this a 3-1. And biggest thing at all is even if they kind of lose another fight or two following this, you can build up to that ult cycle again. And for DYS, now they're struggling to get past this D point once again.
And again, it's all about the favorable positioning you're seeing here. It's the reason that you give up this last point, you don't even attempt to fight it, is because instead of having to take the fight on point, you can hold forward on this staircase on Hanaoka and just sort of not let the defenders play anywhere that they would want to. So Smelvin Industries certainly has everything going for them right now, but it seems like they actually want to push forward.
This is a good idea, all things considered, because the thing is, best of all, you can force out some ultimates, and eventually that is going to be the case here. But the problem is, the biggest thing you sacrifice is you sacrifice Tobbs and all of their thing. And to be honest, I think DYS really wanted to get Leaky's rally out in that situation. I think that's what they really wanted to get. The bright side is you don't invest any ultimates for it, but you also are going to have some of DYS be able to group back together, and that rally, unfortunately, is going to be a heavy player in this next fight.
Exactly here. So I expect to see a lot of things given over to Mori once again here for the Deadeye, right? You're probably expecting Tobbs to hold bubbles, just be ready for that, as well as that immortality field from Seb. Going to be very, very crucial in keeping this cast alive so that way it can deal the damage it needs to. But, you know, Leaky on the other side of things, like you said, rally could be a massive, you know, boost here for DYS to push forward.
Yeah, and it might be a situation of hitting this pulse just to kind of force it out early, because remember, a full health rally can sustain its way through, but Robbie and Seb already down. Tobbs is there to kind of deliver, but unfortunately, fight's already over. You are going to force out that rally at the end of the day, but now you're taking a 3-3. You're going to have an Annihilation coming your way, and your ultimates aren't really built to stop an Annihilation, so DYS now putting themselves in fantastic position as they're going to tie things back up 3-3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's completely reset the momentum of the map here. Like you said, it's going to be a very heavy ult fight for either of these squads here, but it's going to be super crucial to, again, watch this Zarya. If she can get up to high charge, Tobbs might be able to have some impact, have some say in this fight, scare that Ramattra into wasting a lot of that Annihilation with that block ability. But, you know, if that Zarya beam's not doing the damage, then you're going to see Reno just run free.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to see the M-Matrix is going to come out online here. Gonna see if they can find something with the Pulse Bomb. Not quite gonna find a Robbie Hash. Gonna be taken down 99%. And unfortunately, don't find him. Amori still very much alive here, keeping their team going. But damage has already been done here. Halgafart does kind of have to bow out of the situation. It's not a realistic retouch. But biggest thing is you can take back this next fight realistically with the Grav Bomb combo.
I mean, yes, but here's the thing. If you grab bomb combo, say that gets you point B, congrats, you're tied 4-4. You still have nothing for this Annihilation. Reno able to hold on to it throughout that one. So now you're going to enter into a bit of a mind game on top of the game you have to play, where how much do either of these teams invest? Do DYS try to commit to winning this, or do they just simply force ults out, lose a fight here?
Yeah, but the problem is right now, if you decide to hold back too much of your Smelvin Industries, it's not going to pay off in your favor, and they're going to use it solely on Torino, trying to force off the ultimate, and now they're not going to use it, so they're holding on to it, and they're just going to die with it now. So you're going to use 2 of your ultimates, but the biggest problem is you're going to eventually win out this fight, but it's 4-4, and now, I mean, this might have been worst case scenario for Smelvin winning the fight. He used 2 great ultimates, and Reno holds on to the Annihilation.
I think right now you're looking to your DPS. If you're Smelvin, you're asking for a miracle, right? I mean, DYS, they're coming in with Annihilation. They have both of their own DPS ults to work with here. And opening with a Tracer stick or getting Mori to another Deadeye could be the difference maker in this final fight, because it is going to be the final fight for point C.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And ult advantage clearly kind of sitting right now, but Leaky does get taken down. We see the both the supports being taken out. You need to keep Mori up. Best case scenario, you need to find another pick here. Getting people low. Reno's getting super low. The advantage was theirs. And now it's a 3v2 right now. Just the DPS of DYS trying to stay alive. Sekba does have to come up, try to find something with this Pulse Bomb. It's going to come out, going to find Diddly Squat. And now Sekba just looking to focus on staying alive, as a recontestment is very possible.
It is possible here, but like I said, those DPS had to come up clutch on the side of Smelvin, and they did just that here. So now it is just going to be a stagger touch from DYS.
Yep, and they're going to come in hot here. This Mauga could run down Tobbs right now. So Halgafart already going to go low, have to hit the recall, but Leaky is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and again, Mori cleaning things up. 2K to the name, hanging around, make it a 3. Why not? You cannot stop Mori, the 4K to their name. And that's eventually going to sound the toll here right now. It's just Reno trying to hold on, give them the 5K. They won't quite get it, but who cares? They will eventually take away this map, as stalls are just coming one after another. They're trying their darndest to get through, but Megalast, it is too much. Smelvin able to pull it back on the back of Mori in that last fight.
Mori just came a lot. Like we talked about it last map, how there was a turnaround for Mori on the Ashe from the first round to the second. But I mean, this Cassidy was all over this map, punishing DYS here. This is the kind of performances you need in these grand final situations. Mori able to deliver time and again. I mean, this was 2 back-to-back fights where, you know, the map could have ended if it didn't go your way, and Mori just came up clutch time and again here. So Smelvin Industries now find themselves on match point, and they have Mori to thank for it.
I mean, really, they 100% do, because I don't think they live if Mori doesn't pop off. I think they will lose that fight. And all these considered right now, Smelvin Industry had a really bad second to last fight as well. You look back at that B point, as you see here again, Mori just getting value instantly. This combo works out really well. It puts them up 3-1. It's after this point though that we kind of see this push onto E point, and this is where it really comes back to bite them in the butt. They don't get out the ultimates they were hoping for. You eventually lose out on all that power that Tobbs has sitting by, and they get rolled for 3 straight points after that. And Megalast, it looked like they were going to be taken down after that. But again, just amazing plays by the DPS, especially Mori.
Exactly, but, you know, something that has to be acknowledged, right? While we're singing the praises of this DPS, that was so close to call, right? I mean, it's nice when you have a DPS coming up in the clutch like that, but on paper, you know, you run that fight 100 more times, I think DYS comes away with it a vast majority of the time here. So, you know, you cannot underestimate what was happening in this fight and, you know, across this entire map, right? Smelvin giving up 2 entire points, that point E cap twice, almost allowed DYS to rebound and come back into that with their own fighting forces. But, you know, you see by the stats, there definitely was... Yeah, no, that is a deadlift. Holy moly.
Deadlift. Oh my goodness.
Wait, hold on. Just here, immediately cut to Mori's stats, because we can see it on the preview. It's going to come up here in a second. Look at this weapon accuracy. 58% weapon accuracy with the Peacekeeper. I mean, that means that the Tracer, the Venture, everything was running for the hills, and it did not matter. Mori on the favorite Cowboy was just dominating in this map. Like, I was trying to, you know, talk about somebody who wasn't Mori, but I mean, geez Louise.
I mean, it's just insane. The stat line we're looking at it here, like, I don't care about those 5 deaths. The fact is that means they died in the fights that the entire team got wiped away. They remained to live in all these fights. They were never the first one to go down or someone who got caught out of position early. They constantly kept the picture in the fight, kept themselves alive, and just done a fantastic job. I do have to shout out really quick though, that pulse bomb from Hogglefar at the beginning of that final fight to take Leaky out of there. They didn't get to build to a rally because of that pulse bomb, which could have made a massive difference. So DPS coming up really big for Smelvin Industries, gonna put themselves on match point, and now DYS with the decision on their hands, and Megalaz, it did not take them long to decide.
No, we alluded to it before. They want to brawl. They know, or they think at least, that they can beat Smelvin in the brawl here. So with all of the maps in our little push flashpoint control, you know, our push flashpoint like multi-pool here, they just immediately were like New Queen or New Junk City. I am crazy right now with all of the news, but new is the Junk City that we are seeing here. You're going to see the brawl matchup come out once again. Smelvin probably going to lean towards their Junker Queen comps, but, you know, if it's a repeat of a Samoa, then map 5 may be on the horizon.
I mean, and to be fair, it's a really big possibility as well right there. We saw Smelvin Industries, Half-Tubs in, they ran the Zarya. I think there's still a grand possibility that they try to run the Zarya again, along with Mori on that Cassidy. I don't know if it's going to work as successfully, you know, over on a map like New Junk City compared to a Hanaoka. That's kind of the question that has to be figured out, but it's something you debate right now because you've looked good on it, you felt confident on it, you have a great combo to be able to secure fights with it. The biggest problem they had overall was honestly Reno kind of just running them over with their Ramasha, with that, which happened more times than you would like if you're the Smelvin Industry squad.
Exactly, and, you know, just worrying about that Ramatra getting so much value here, you might have to lean into something more like the Orisa, just the organic counter, or just, you know, go back to, you know, how good your pathing was on that first round, right? We were applauding them for it, just how well they were taking the fights. Smelvin had that in the bag. But, you know, DYS, it seems like they, you know, they've realized where their bread is buttered here. They realized that if there's going to be a path to victory in this series, it's going to have to be through more of that brawl look. As we get a quick look at lineups, Delta is back in, that hit scam prowess returning to the field, and Big Nan, actually, after Samoa, is back in, so this is definitely indicating the Junker Queen's coming out.
It is, which kind of scares me a little bit here, because it's not like Big Nan did bad things on the Junker Queen. That's not the case at all. They did a great job on the Junker Queen. It's the problem that DYS immediately figured out how they wanted to counter it in that second sub point and took back that map, and that's a big reason why they did. So, gonna have to see if they realize this is coming, and I think if you see Big Nan coming back into the lineup, I think your plan A should be to come out on the exact same composition. Bring back that Ramatra, bring back that Mei, bring back that breakneck style to play faster than Smelvin Industries, and it's something, again, we're gonna have to see here, but I think it'll be very likely.
Yeah, only time will tell here, as both teams actually saying, you know, to heck with your predictions, to heck with what we've been doing. It's the meta for a reason. Let's duke it out. And immediately Big Nan makes me look like a liar. All right, so that's fine. You know, cheeky little bit of a swap here. But yeah, so the Junker Queen versus the Orisa. I completely expect this from DYS. They know that this can beat
what Smelvin is running at them. So Smelvin, you know, they have to show if they've made any adaptations besides just the heroes they're picking here as we're getting into this, because, you know, again, they seemed like this was figured out before.
Yep, gonna see if this can be the case right now. It's the exact same thing that kind of stopped them before. Against Smelvin Industries, they want to stack onto each other. They want to play well, and I think one thing to note, Seb being back over on this Baptiste did a lot of work back on Hollywood. A little silent as we went through the Smelvin Industries, but back and ready to make things work. As Brunan been in a rough position right now, kind of being surrounded with the fact that Holgofart is doing a really good job just kind of penetrating this back line, creating a bunch of pressure. And eventually, it's going to cause somebody to have to drop back onto this point. But you already have multiple people low, and you're going to make a trade out. But you take that trade out every day right there. Delta being taken out of the fight. Leaky looks like they're eventually going to get ran down. And while it has been almost completely 50-50, I think this 2v2 is eventually going to favor Smelvin. They're going to clean things up. It's just Brunan on the point. But if they freeze, they might be able to sustain. But Megalast eventually Holgofart there to clean things up, keeping things alive. And Smelvin Industries gonna start out with that first cap.
Yeah, that cryo melted away in the warm Australian sun, it seems here, for DYS now to have to sort of set up for their re-engage here. They have, again, their own Cassidy at play here, but I mean, we saw how devastating Mori can be, as we're now actually on a full Orisa mirror as well. Something to point out, Big Nan has given up the Queen and wants to just take this fight head on.
Yeah, and the problem with that, though, is now you fall super behind an ult charge, and Reno already is going to have this all ready to go, but without Brunan there, it might be hard to pull off. They're going to run it down, looking potentially for a pulse bomb, but is going to hold on to it with the recall, realize the fight is essentially over. Big Man got a 2K to their name, and eventually Reno going to be taken out, eventually going to be cleared away, and now ult advantage in the side of Smelvin Industries right now, and for DYS, you are walking into 4 ultimates that you do not want to be walking into.
No, you do not here. And I mean, Smelvin, they've been able to control this point the whole time. There's also going to have to be worried about who from the side of DYS gets that point touch, right? When you're lacking that tracer, nobody really to easily send over there here, as it is going to actually be a pretty big ult fight.
Yeah, coming through right now, but Everett's not going to be able to get their ult on time right now. The point is also going to give up as well, so not only is it an investment on both sides, but it wasn't even to get to the point at the end of the day, so now they're going to be cleared away. Smelvin Industries, with those picks, might be able to get to this point first. They going with a double support ultimate, which does mean that Debrix and the rest of DYS is going to have essentially a free orbital strike.
The free orbital ray, and again, this meta has been defined by how powerful it is here. So it's going to be a good tool for DYS, but Smelvin already establishing themselves on the point first here, and they have some other tools to try to get, cut through the healing that's going to be there.
And again, you see them going fast. Delta is going to go online, going to get knocked out of things right now, and now this Terra Surge could call things. The Pulse is going to come through as well, as they're going to clean things up here big time. The trade going to go in Smelvin Industries' favor. They do invest everything they had left to win that point, but in that situation, to take that first, it's got to feel worth it.
Exactly, because they're going to be able to continue momentum building up here, right? It's going to force another fight. DYS going to have to drain what's left of their ult bank to convert it into a fight win in a point flip, right? They do have some good tools to do it. The Blizzard as well as the Rally, both more than capable here, but you have to keep in mind just when these Orisas are using Fortify, because that's going to determine everything for this freeze.
Yep, 100%, and already 45% on the line, which means this is potentially final fight here in the back line, as Mori is going to get caught out already. Delta getting a ton of pressure, will eventually be taken out. Holgofart doing really good changing these fights into 4v4s. Seb, though, is still alive. This point is going to flip over into a 3v3. Seb looks like they're eventually going to be rained down, and looks like DYS going to finally be able to win their first fight here, taking this point back and getting a couple of late picks in the meanwhile.
Exactly, and these picks are going to start mattering here, as they do have to try to catch back up in the ult economy. Smelvin coming into this next one, both support ultimates almost ready to go here. Meanwhile, Leaky just having this rally, while that is good, it gives everybody some extra health, some extra sustain. It doesn't guarantee a fight win necessarily, because that damage, as long as it's coordinated in there from Smelvin, they can still burst down some of these targets. It's going to be crucial, but that's a good one.
Ooh, that is the way you want to start. Now, if you're Smelvin Industries, you can realistically back off. You can get out of this fight and take a reset here. You're going to get chased down a little bit, but there's no way that DYS decides to take us out into the open space.
No, and now, again, it feels like the shoe is on the other foot. Smelvin is going to have to worry about coming in, making sure a point touch occurs while they fight this fight here, but they're going to be pushing into so many other resources.
Yeah, but touch is going to come through here. It's going to force overtime, and looks like Big Man gonna be able to clear away 3 people, gonna take them away. Right side for DYS, you get a recontestation here, and you still have 2 very great ultimates to come back.
Exactly, and you just got out probably the best combo that Smelvin had in their entirety here. So as long as Hogofar doesn't start this one off with another signature pulse bomb elimination, then, you know, it could be a phenomenal opportunity for DYS to get a point on the board here, because if they let another one go, you realize Smelvin has a lot of momentum building towards their win.
Who's touching us now? It's 98-99. We eventually see the touch coming through here, but Ronan is basically going to dive for it, and now Reno basically crosses over the warpath to try to keep things alive. A lot of damage being done, and Slinky will eventually going to be able to take care of Mori back into the 4v4, but Big Nan is already super low here. DYS managing to fight their way back into this, but Big Nan trying their hardest to keep fighting and fighting and fighting as Robbie Hash staying alive for a long while, but the numbers game is eventually going to take its toll here on Big Nan. Wiped away. Gonna see if there's gonna be a retouch. Doesn't look very possible, so DYS able to fight their way back into things, tie things up here on New Junk City.
Tying up for the time being here, you have, you know, a 1-to-1 situation with DYS actually still maintaining a good control in the ult economy lead here. They have the Blizzard and the Deadeye to match what Mori has on the other side of things. You know, it's going to be about this positioning again, though. As you see, Smelvin's already over to the next point, ready and willing to see what DYS throws.
Yeah, that's the way we're right now. We're going to see quickly Overrate going to be used aggressively along with the freeze as well. They really want to secure this fight. Looks like they will be able to off the back of Mori and Seb going down. One going to start out for DYS, but they take a very quick fight. Use 2 very good ultimates to do it, but again, it's more about the momentum than anything else.
The momentum is certainly starting to build. DYS is coming back from, you know, a certainly not fun point 1, but they've been able to sort of re-secure things here. Orisa's just trading spears, seeing what they can find, but this is already Smelvin walking forward.
Yep, and they have their own on the line here. Needs to not be taken out here. Delta not going to find what they're hoping for. Robbie has with a 2K to their name, clearing things away. The investment going to be given back, only going to be 46% on the board here. It's fair, but all things considered, Smelvin Industries, despite investing, still has the ult advantage.
Yeah, but they finally have like some measured investment, right? It wasn't just throwing everything in the kitchen sink into it. It was just the orbital ray here, so they still have other tools to work with. A good adaptation for them here, but now they actually have to be able to convert some of these other ults into fight wins here, and you're probably going to be looking towards, again, your DPS line.
Yep, gonna pull them together. Everyone in a rub situation, getting low. Delta and Leaky potentially gonna go down here. Leaky sitting at 1. The recall comes through. Eventually, it's gonna pay off here. Now you want a quick reset if you're DYS. Everyone goes down. You get a recontestation here. You're able to take the reset. That's what you want, but still, it's not gonna be the easiest of contests.
And that's such a proof of patience right there from Hogofar. I mean, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. If that's me in that situation, I'm throwing that pulse bomb out just to try to look flashy, but you know, knowing that the raw damage can be done, the fight's already won, having that confidence behind your team is exactly what's propelling Smelvin right now.
Yep, 100% now, 93%. Likely going to see a touch to bring it over here into overtime. Looks like it will come through. Pulse is going to hit. Linky will end up getting taken down, and we're going to see the takedown here right now. While the freeze does come out, there's no one to really follow up on it anymore, so now Smelvin Industries only 1 point away from being able to take away this mid-season victory.
It feels like they're always the bridesmaids, never the bride, but maybe here in New Junk City, today can be their day. They still have a tall task ahead of them. They're dealing with DYS, both support ults in this next fight here for the point. Meanwhile, they don't have any tools to their name here, so maybe a bit more of a cautious one from Smelvin Industries, as DYS is more than happy to take advantage and go to point.
Oh, I mean, 100% in this situation. You're willing to take it there. The thing is, you have the ability to sustain on point. You have that Venture who's able to go underground, able to burrow, able to kind of sustain on that point for as long as they really need to. But right now, we still see right now someone hanging around the point. That's going to be Big Nan kind of hanging around, having a good time as things are right now. But fight's still very much online, very much a 5v5, and now we're seeing where these investments are coming through. But the problem is, Smelvin Industries took their time and they built up to these ultimates. It's going to be a big terror surge, lots of bodies in there. It's going to catch on to Baronan in the situation, but Red is going to be invested here to try to pull this one back. We're going to see them being forced around, but Deborah's eventually going to be able to find one here as Big Nan going to be forced out of here. Going to see if they can live, but it might be a little too much pressure for them to be able to sustain through, and if this is a late death, this could be very catastrophic, and it looks like they are not getting out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would have been better to die on point there for Big Nan, so just choosing to try to run was not the smart invest here. DYS, again, you know, speaking of investment, I feel like it's been the name of the game here on Flashpoint. They throw a lot into that fight to secure it, so now Smelvin with a golden opportunity. Both DPS again can come up in the clutch here, but, you know, it's not a guarantee. They have to be able to actually stick the value of these ults.
Yep, and it's not a situation of the fact that there's a lot of ultimates online for Smelvin Industries right now in terms of importance right now. That Pulse Bomb could get rid of Leaky, it could get rid of Debrix, but Reno's already taking a beating right now from Mori. The Pulse Bomb sticks on beautifully. Leaky gonna be able to move away from Delta as Reno is going to invest into this fight for some reason. Even though Delta has found a pick, that ult is going to find absolutely no change as they're eventually going to go down, drop on this point, take the death, and I mean, 88% is still up. That is essentially the one fight territory that they need, but now they have the empty ult bank.
They have an empty ult bank, and I feel like Hogglefar, even without, you know, while the sticks have been nice, removing the Brig from the fight every time, it's the pressure being applied to the supports by this Tracer, right? Both DBRX and Leaky have certainly felt the sting of these Tracer Pulse Pistols more than once here. Constantly being able to harass and scare the support line means they're not healing, they're not able to focus on anything but their own survival. It's making that difference right now for Smelvin.
Definitely right now, this could be the final fight coming online here as things are, but Reno immediately gets rid of Zev, and now that's devastating. If you're the Smelvin Industries squad right now, Mori trying to survive, unfortunately, it's not going to be enough, and now it could just be the quick reset coming through here as Bronan hoping to find something as they're going to really try to double down on this fight, using ult, perhaps even unnecessarily, but most importantly, they're eventually going to take back this point. Touches are going to come through as Big Nan manages to find Bronan somehow, and this fight is still going, and it really feels like it shouldn't be right now, but eventually they will find the picks here. Hogglefart still finding pick after picks. The pulse going to hit, but it's only going to go onto the shield as Leaky gets all the support in the world here. You need to take care of Seb and Hogglefart, who have been hanging around essentially this entire time right now as points slowly starting to flip over. Gonna see an orbital ray be used in this aggression, and at the end of the day, all that stall that just came through from DYS, or more so from Smelvin Industries, was great because they forced out arguably the best ultimate in this lobby.
Yeah, but DYS has tons of other things to throw into this one. Smelvin, I mean, that orbital ray in a 3v5, that's one you may want back if you're Robbie Hash. Yep. I mean, Smelvin really did throw everything into that one. It felt desperate. They saw themselves so close to the finish line, but now they still have another point to go here, and they put themselves at a massive disadvantage for it, for what just became a, you know, almost guaranteed map might just slip through their fingers.
It's a possibility right now. The first fight is going to tell a lot of it right now. Smelvin Industries are coming online to this data right now, but as you already said, DYS currently sitting on 3 ultimates of their own, and strong ones at that, but you want to make sure not to waste them in this situation. As you see them go for the drop down, give up a little bit of this high ground here. This first pick is going to be extremely important as Delta getting a lot of pressure. It is going to be taken down early. As you can see them hanging around the background, Bronan is going to be alive, is going to go under, get a little bit of support. This fight isn't necessarily over yet, but they're focusing all their attention onto just one tank who, let me tell you, Megalass, guess what? Is not going to go down in this situation. They need a different target, and unfortunately, they're going to lose that first fight after trying to dump a lot into Big Nan.
Yeah, they dump a lot, but not ultimates, right? I mean, DYS, we talked about how big their advantage was in that fight. No ultimates get used on their side, and it gives Smelvin an opportunity not just to flip the fight with just raw damage, but now they've completely caught up and even surpassed the ult bank in many regards here. So I feel like DYS may have just blown a huge opportunity.
It feels like they did, and now this has to be big right now. We're going to see in the fight right now, going to pull them in together right now, and it's going to find no dice here. Reno and Bronan both going to go down here, and if you're DYS, you need the quick resets, and you need them now. You're see everybody already has backed out there, and now DYS, they play their best card, and now they have one more fight left.
Yeah, DYS, it feels like the pressure might be starting to get to them. They know what's on the line here. One more fight is going to stand between Smelvin and this victory here, and you're seeing again Smelvin CPS, they've been good all day long here. They both have their ults, they both can come up in the clutch for this final fight.
Yep, Hogglefart does have this pulse. It could end things right now if Leaky gets caught with it, but we're going to see Orbital Ray be used 95%. Someone needs to eventually come through with this touch. It is found. Robbie Hash is going to go down there right now. Hogglefart is debating whether or not to use this. It's 4-4 right now, but things are quickly changing as Reno's found another pick. Mori in a rough situation, and while they're trading out over and over and over again, it's just Hogglefart sitting by. It looks like they're not going to be able to clutch this one out. It'd be near impossible. So DYS gonna take that point back, but Smelvin Industries still holding on to a majority of their ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, DYS, again, you still have this pressure on your neck right now. You cannot lose another fight. It's simply not an option if you want to keep your hopes alive in this series here. You do have the Deadeye as well as Leaky with this rally to help keep the team sustained and healthy through this next engage from Smelvin. But again, you cannot lose this fight. An early pick cannot happen.
They cannot, and with the 45% as slow as this fight is going, ladies and gentlemen, I think this might end up being the final fight on our docket here for this map. Mori already pushed into a corner here. Rough situation as the flip goes through for free, which is devastating. And now we're going to see it above. Trying to see if your Delta, see if you can find anything. They're super low, as eventually Reno is going to manage to get rid of Big Man. The point going to flip back over now, as we're going to see the Deadeye being used here by Mori. More so to, looks like to get back that charge, but they're taking back the fight little by little. Hogafart needs to find something. They're going to get forced away, sitting super low right now with 75%. Nicholas, this could be it. They're going to go in for it, and Reno's going to get one. Zeb is not going to get out of there, and now can anyone even touch this point? It's not looking very likely, ladies and gentlemen. The race to make it back to the point, Big Man, cannot be fast enough, though. DYS is going to take us the distance. We are going to map 5.
Oh, Smelvin, that might be a map you're thinking about for a long time. It felt like it was in your control for those last 2 points, and desperation rang true time and again. They just seemed almost, too excited at the prospect of ending it all and getting that title, and now they're in a position where they might not have it guaranteed at all. Map 5 is on the cards. That Giga Banger that was promised is being delivered.
I mean, I feel like you might agree with me on this. Again, this felt like Smelvin Industries map. They take the 2-1. They take it with a decent amount of convincingness as well here, as we see the ultimates being used like very aggressively by them as well. I'm pretty sure they end up losing this point eventually as a result. But big play from Hogafart and Mori once again, but it felt like Delta really woke up here. On top of that, Debrix really woke up as well. The first time I really saw them kind of do a lot within this series, but unfortunately, Mega Last first Smelvin Industries, I feel like they played their hand a little too much, and unfortunately, it just doesn't pay off in their favor.
It does not here, and again, that's one of those things where Smelvin, we talked about it, right? They've been in this position before. They feel the nerves absolutely, because a lot of people predicted them, right? We felt like this was their time here, and with this pressure, all of this high intensity action, it feels like it might be starting to get to them. Meanwhile, DYS, calm, cool, and collected, even in the face of adversity. They know what they have to do, and they can clean it up in the absolute 9th, 10th, 11th hour here, and send us to that ever crucial escort map to determine everything.
And it is going to determine anything, but to determine that as well, first look at these stats right here. I mean, there are 2 big numbers I want to point out, and that is Big Man at 20,000 damage, and we're going to see a comparison here in a moment with Robbie Hash, who has been honestly a good fisher within this, but also 20k heals. Do you know how long a fight has to go, or how long you have to stay alive in these fights to eventually accumulate 20,000 healing? I mean, no one on the other side comes even close to that. That is insane.
Well, what's absolutely crazy as well here, I mean, you're looking at all of the stats, and we'll even have a specific head-to-head of Robbie Hash versus DBRX for you guys to look at in terms of these Juno players. But, on paper, it looks like, clearly Smelvin Industries was dominating. They were in control. And while that was the case, their point management wasn't there. They were losing the fights that they couldn't afford to lose in terms of objective control. And that's what's allowed DYS to sort of continue, despite not having the stats, not having the numbers behind them. They simply know how to play the game of Overwatch and have that objective control here. As you're looking at your Junos, again, Robbie Hash, so much healing output, and as well as an elimination difference. I mean, 32 to 13 for a Juno is ridiculous.
It is, and again, the death difference as well. Debrix, who got caught out 12 different times. I kind of spoke how they were doing a lot, and they were doing a lot. Unfortunately, they were also one of the first people that was being targeted down, and eventually, you can kind of see just by these numbers, Robbie Hash was just winning to 1v1 whenever it came up between them. But at the end of the day, we've seen great support numbers, we've seen great damage numbers. It's been a phenomenal day for all of these players, but Megalast, now you have the pressure on you of going to a 5th and very likely final map, which, I mean, I don't know if either of us have been there before. I have. I assume you've been there too. Being in a Map 5 situation, it sits on your nerves, and there's nothing that can prevent that.
No, those nerves are going to be the thing carrying this, because both teams, they've had amazing performances, clutch factors here, but Map 5 will determine everything. It will be Escort, but it will be on the other side of the break. We want to give these teams a chance to fully reset the mental, take a deep breath, because, again, this trophy hangs in the balance right now. One of these squads will become a champion on the other side of this break.
ladies and gentlemen, it's all come down to this. We have had a back and forth affair these last 4 maps, and it's all going to come down to a 5th and hopefully final map here as things are set away. And Megalas, we have seen both these teams have absolute highs and absolute lows thus far. It feels like Smelvin perhaps had this series locked away, but DYS keeping themselves alive, able to push us to a 5th and final map. And my God, did they pull it by the skin of their teeth.
Skin of their teeth is absolutely correct. And, you know, we talked about it a little bit during the break. It felt like it was in Smelvin's control. It felt like they had it, but maybe their nerves, other factors got to them and took them out of the fight here and allowed DYS to just sneak away with New Junk City here. But now, you know, unless we somehow get a draw on Escort, it seems like this is where we are going to end this series. A champion has to be crowned here on Dorado. No stairs yet. We got a few days out on that. Brawl is not allowed in my Dorado just yet.
No, not quite yet. So, I mean, in my mind, again, this is Smelvin Industries' pick, and it makes complete sense. It's probably going to be an exact rehash of what we had on Hollywood. But the thing to note is that both teams did still finish the map when we went to Hollywood. It just felt like Smelvin was stronger on their diva, which makes a whole lot of sense. That's why they aren't really going to change anything up either. This is exactly what they want to run here. They know what they want to do, and it should go like Hollywood. And if it doesn't, I swear I need to message these people over here at Smelvin Industries, tell them, hey, it's not Halloween yet. Why are you cosplaying as the Philadelphia Fusion? Just win the game. That's what I've got.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where, you know, it starts to get to you, right, mentally. Like, oh, you know, we're constantly second place. You hinder yourself. You get just a little bit too antsy about the situation that you're in. So you have to take that deep breath. You have to calm yourself if you're Smelvin, because DYS on the other side, you know, this is a much different story than that first matchup where Smelvin were coming away with the map wins. We're seeing these teams fight it out back and forth close, but, you know, only one of them can come away with that win at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's definitely the way it feels right now as we're getting everybody set away for the 5th and final map. Dorado, and all things considered, again, I'm less interested in how Smelvin is going to play this because it feels very obvious how Smelvin wants to play this. It's very clear as day. But I think the thing to really take into consideration is how DYS wants to try to play this. I don't think there's a lot of different ways to play it, unfortunately. I think you still probably have to match that diva way. I think you still need to match that Ashe. It's a question if you want to change things up at all, because at the end of the day, I don't think Venture is even like the worst pick in the world. We saw some really good play earlier on with it. It is a genuine possibility, but all things considered, Megalas, we are seeing a few swamps coming into this situation. Biggest, though, Best coming back in to play that diva.
Yeah, Best, Tobbs, both coming in. The dive tanks are afoot, and they are aplenty here. And we actually have Zekpa coming in on DPS here. You know, we've been seeing a lot from our Tracer player, but it seems like when push comes to shove, you do have, you know, this ultimate player that needs to come in, and this is exactly what DYS has them on the roster for here. So could be the clutch factor as we are coming into Dorado. Juno spaceship still proudly sitting here, just doing as it pleases. You know, actually, like, completely off track, but, like, that would have been so much cooler than putting an elevator if you had, like, some anti-grav stuff to indicate Juno landing here for, like, your map changes.
I mean, you could have. You probably could have set up a room like that. I mean, clearly Overwatch has been able to do it before, so it's like, hey, you know, say, why not do it again? But be a little wonky in this situation here on Dorado, which, again, looks lovely, especially at this time of day, as things are looking about what we would expect right now. Mori going to be back on the Ashe, Hogglefart on the Tracer. Biggest thing, though, once again, Seb going to stick on that Baptiste. I think is the right call, but, I mean, the most important thing to note right now is DYS looking like they might start out on the double hit scan.
The double hit scan could be a look. I'm more than expecting this Widow just to take a pop shot before heading back to the spawn room, but it is one of the few Widow maps left in the game here, so it could definitely be a real Widow, as it seems to be the case here. Now just looking for the high ground. Ooh, but you've given yourself away.
Yeah, give yourself away, but you've gotten a little space with this. Problem is, someone has to eventually come back for this car right now, and unfortunately, it kind of has to be Sekpa, which is not the person you want to sit on car. Widowmaker is not the first person I put on the cart, not even the second or third for that matter, but as they kind of taken over this high ground, they've made 0 meterage, which I don't know if that's worth it quite yet, to be honest with you.
No, it's going to be, one of those questions of how much it's worth. Because again, you have to contest this high ground, sure, if you're the attackers, but when the payload's not moving at all, it's going to be a completely different factor here, because you might have to win this high ground fight, 2 or 3 times even.
Yeah, but as the fight kind of goes on, this is really going to fall into the favor of someone like Zeb, who's going to work out way close to their ultimate, already sitting at 6%, kind of matching Debrix right now, keeping things alive. And even though they're kind of holding this corner, eventually you're going to see the pressure being brought down onto the point, because the only person hanging around right now is Zekra, and you've lost Debrix right now. You're going to lose Best out of that mech, and now they're going to be able to drop down and force your way your percentage. And reminder how long it took for them to set up and get the cart moving. Almost a minute and a half gone, and they barely made it to this bridge portion.
It's a beautiful defense right now coming out from Smelvin. Very measured here. Tobbs looking so good on this Devo right now. We talked about it before, but really just coming into their own right now. Just being able to sort of throw this attack off from DYS time and again here. Now it seems like a different pathing strategy is going to be tried, where they just send the Tracer to cart, let it push, and then try to take the fight elsewhere.
Yep, great dynamite being used there. Leaky gets super low, though. Does manage to kind of hang around for the time being, as Best trying to do the exact same thing, sitting super low, and again, gonna get knocked out of the mech, and that kind of kills the fight for them right now. And Seb, again, just making things work. Mori staying alive, all 5 ultimates gonna be ready at their disposal. And DYS, this might be a worst-case scenario already.
Could be a worst-case scenario here for them, but they still have time to work with, and they're starting to come up towards some of these ultimates. That being said, Smelvin has every tool in the bank to work with, so it could be one of those things where DYS has to intentionally lose a fight, forcing some ult out from Smelvin before they come back into the next one with their own ults finally ready to engage.
Ooh. Yep, and they're just going to flip it on them right here. We're going to see if they brought online, going to see if they can catch somebody with this, but Debrix already be taken out. Delta not too far behind. They trade out those ultimates. The Bob does get thrown in as well. And Best is going to eventually be taken out. Eventually, I believe that Bob could eventually take them out, but they're going to take the sweet time instead. Will eventually go down and out. Minute 15 on the clock. Cart made a little bit more progress, but again, just Mori has not been stopped. This entire Smelvin industry team hasn't been stopped.
No, I mean, they're absolutely putting themselves on full display right now, and why they picked this map, it's just showing how dominant they are, but it is about continuing this excellence here, as you're seeing more and more space be given. Finally, it's the push over to the payload, and that's the pick.
I don't get it. They sit on the hyper ring. They leave More or Delta behind in a terrible position, but Sekba does keep these alive. 2K with the pulse. Zeb and Mori going to be taken down, and now this is the chance to win it out right now. Tubbs eventually going to help get rid of them. Now going to see if they can hit the remech, as Best is going to get knocked out of theirs. Again, going to have to hit the remech, as they're going to see if they can chase down right now, as Sekba has managed to find, I believe, a 4th within this situation, and now you're going to see Best or Tubbs try to get out of there. Literally sitting at 1. Immortality going to be used here. See if they can burn them away, but more so if they can touch. We do see a touch online, and now Delta is down. You don't have a Bob to invest anymore, but Tubbs going to get knocked out of the mech as well. They're going to burn things away. It's just Zeb hanging around this point with their Tracer. It looks like they eventually are going to cap, but again, they do it with just a few seconds to spare. This is not as clean as you would hope for, but what a play by Zekba to keep this team alive.
I mean, yeah, that was looking like a first point hold until Zekba came alive on the Tracer there, absolutely breaking through Smelvin's defense here. And it was just about the payload position, right? Once you could force the cart at a place that was past that high ground hold, that's where it really was starting to pay off for DYS here. That being said, it's going to be a bit of a harder situation for them here on second point. This high ground wraps all the way around the path of the payload, so at any point Smelvin can drop, and they're going to feel a lot more confident controlling the high ground.
Yep, 100%. Pulse Bomb coming online for Zekba right now, sitting at 93%. They're taking the sweet time. I feel like what they're doing is they're listening in the comps for somebody to be dropping down, but unfortunately, not going to quite find what you were hoping for. Zekba going to decide not to invest here, just going to try to pull out a little bit. This card's still making a little bit of progress, like a bit here and there, but it's likely not going to make much progress from here as Tubbs gets knocked out of the mech. But, I mean, at least on the bright side, DYS is getting some value from this push. What?
Some value, but yeah, the bombers having to come out. It seems like Best needed to get back in mech there, but Tubbs again.
I mean, Tubbs is staying on top of everybody. If they get separated for even a moment, Tubbs is able to find them and take care of them, as they're going to almost have to hit the remech, but able to hold on to the bomb. And once again, Smelvin Industries going to be working with all 5 ultimates here, as Zekba going to have to hit the recall just to stay alive. And again, not the best situations to DYS. And again, Zekba going to dilate, have to take another reset.
Another reset coming through. Smelvin with only a minute left potentially in this defense here. Every ultimate online now. DYS, you know, they have plenty of tools of their own, almost able to match besides the Diva Bomb, but, you know, it's going to be so much harder for the attack. They're having to take time now, path up to this high ground, but somebody's going to have to go to the payload eventually.
That's the problem, is doing this, you pretty much force in the fact that you're going to have a map 5 situation, but Hogafar does manage to get 2. They die at the expense, but that might be worth it right now. Need to get rid of Delta, who's super low, but Zekba is still kicking, still alive for this team, and now Cobbs is going to invest the bomb, manages to get up on the high ground as well. Beautifully done to be able to stay within the mech, so now, if they can manage to get out of here, that'd be beautiful, but they're already sitting super low. They're going to fly above. They're getting a bunch of heals as well. What a great job being able to sustain themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of great job, we gotta look at Zekba here. Every single time this DYS squad looks down and out, the overtime clutch on this Tracer is an absolute 10.
Yeah, they're going for that dive again, but Hogafar gonna pay for it this time around. Delta able to take care of business. We're in a 5v4, and now it's gonna come down to Mori with this Bob in time. Gonna get a big dynamite right there to keep things going right now, and they're playing a throw right on this cart, maybe into this corner, and it's gonna go through. It flies just on that door. It's an excellent spot to be at right now. That's gonna get knocked out of the mech here. Now, no longer gonna have that Diva in play. These might be finally falling apart here as they push as far as they possibly can. They're getting knocked away one by one. Tom's got a 3K to their name. And now the goalposts are set. Smelvin Industries have to push just before that second point checkmate if they want to take away this mid-season tournament win.
And they just might be able to do it, especially with the way Tobbs is playing right now. Absolutely elite diva play that is being followed up on by this Tracer and Ash, ready to do the damage. And, you know, one of the biggest fears that we had for Smelvin, right, when you have this Baptiste in the backline instead of a Brig, it means a little bit, you know, a little bit less healing for your Juno, a little bit less of that protection, but it seems like they don't need it because it allows them to just play so much more aggressive when they have more healing. Nice little stick from Hogofart there and just doing more and more every single time. DYS, they certainly have a tall task ahead of them.
Yeah, and I want to see these stats because that might be I was going to say that might be a deadlift, and it is. It's 12 to 12. Is it technically? It's 50%.
50%, yeah.
Technically,
50% on the dot. That's a deadlift.
All right. So Tobbs currently has a deadlift as things are, and that might stay as is because again they were just finding anybody who was out of position, whether it was Delta, whether it was Debrix, whether it was Leaky. They were constantly finding them, constantly able to make that pressure happen. And Mori has been doing absolute work as well. 8,500 damage right now on this Ash.
Yeah, and so it's. You know, the Ash has been great. Mori has been amazing here, but DYS, they have their own clutch player. Zekba has been doing great when this team needs it, coming in for the map 5. A high-stakes potential, but could be the difference maker. Oh, I thought that shot was going to hit.
Oh, that would be devastating right now because now you see the strategy of Smelvin Industries. They literally just slapped a bunch of bodies on the point. They took it to 101. And now that's exactly what you want. Now you force the card already to bridge at 30%. And Best has literally been sitting on the brink of 1 health for the longest time. Will finally get their support. But the problem is, DYS has already given up so much space within the first 30 seconds.
So much space forfeited away from them here. But that's a good pick.
And that's devastating. Mori going to get rid of Zekba in that situation. And now, Delta going to be able to answer back a little bit, but Best does not have the support to work with right now. But Delta coming back online, almost like a Mori-like situation, does manage to get rid of 2, hoping to get rid of a 3rd Leaky there to help clean things up a little bit. And now, we're going to see a DMEC potentially a bit of a stagger.
Yeah, this defense, it wasn't as clean. They did lose 1 member there with that Widow pick, but they have been able to stabilize, and that's a good pick. Removing Mori, making that Ash take the time to respawn once again here. It's going to be massive as Smelvin Industries, they're now having to make some swaps over on their composition, realizing that the Brig might be a requirement here, but they're going to put themselves so far behind in ult charge.
I mean, that's the problem they are, and Mori is already dead. Delta finding another pick, doing a lot of phenomenal things. They're going to swirl in right here, going to see if they can take care of some more right now, but as things are right now, Robin Hash, rough situation, does still have Zeb to be able to support them, but Zeb gonna have to back up for now as finally Zekba gonna go down. Hogofart gonna find a pick, and it looks like this fight should be able to start opening up.
Yeah, I mean, Smelvin, they still have to actually walk in here. They're trying to apply pressure to Delta.
Oh, and Hogofart finds another 2K. This time they managed to hold on to the life, and Best right now needs to try to live, but they're going to have to probably release their bomb here, but they're not going to. But I think a recondition is still possible. It's just going to be dang difficult.
I mean, if I had a nickel for every single time a Tracer opened up Dorado first in this match, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that both Tracer players were the clutch factor, as now DBRX going in.
Yeah, gonna invest 1.5 meters to go. Debrick's already gonna go down here. Needs to find something big on this pulse, but it's gonna find absolutely diddly squatus. Tom's already has 2 right now. Delta gonna be taken out, chased away, and Best will eventually be rocked away here. And now the goalposts are finally set. 4 minutes to push 91 meters, and as things are, DYS has ults online, but man, it is not looking good right now for them.
I mean, right now, I feel like Smelvin's biggest opponent may not even necessarily be DYS, right? They have their favorite comp. They've been performing well on this map so far. Their biggest opponent is going to be their own mental. They can't have mistakes like they did on New Junk City. They can't overinvest in these fights. They can't just try to throw things at the kitchen sink in desperation. They have to keep calm under this pressure.
Yep, you see the pressure already kind of getting to their heads a little bit, forcing a bit of a recall right now, is eventually going to manage to get Holofart off of the high ground right now, but Deadeye going to be used right now. Delta able to get rid of Robbie Hash, and now hopefully going to be able to stop the progress as well, see if you can find a couple more picks in there. Looks like you'll be able to. Tobbs needs to focus on getting out of here as fast as they can. Mori is already gone for it. They are already torn into shreds, but Tops will be able to survive, which means they will be able to have a faster reset.
And this reset is what Smelvin needs right now. They have plenty of ults to work with, whereas, you know, DYS, they did just have to invest that Deadeye here, and they don't have anything else besides the Diva Bomb currently locked and loaded. So this should be Smelvin's fight to lose right now, as long as they don't get picked.
Yep, and right now that's the bite call. Best. They'll see the drop down, force away that. You don't want to give them the ability to passively push away that point. But now we're going to see the rush coming through from Tobbs right now. Eventually going to have the duck down instead, kind of take their time in the situation. But regardless, they're going in for that. With that speed coming through, the 1v1 on the point between Hogofart and Sekba could be super important. But Delta already been taken care of right now. And Hogofart doing a really good job with the advantage in this 1v1 right now, as the rest of the DYS going to be forced into the slither room right now. Sekba going to lose out on the 1v1, and that's going to be huge. Because now in this situation, now you're coming on to final fight territory potentially, and with 2 minutes left, Smelvin Industries, perhaps their worst enemy might be themselves.
Exactly, but DYS currently, they can't risk a stagger. They have to reset here, as that payload is just going to keep on moving, and now they take high ground.
Ball can be thrown into a corridor. Tough situation right now for Leaky. He's getting low, but going to have all the support on their team. But now it's coming down to the touches on this point. Zekla going to be forced to use that recall as well. But Best does manage to get rid of Mori. Tops hanging around the background. Will eventually be forced out of the mech. Are going to opt to not use the bomb, which I think is 100% the right call here. Going to clean things up. This is the first fight they need, but for DYS, they're going to need 2 or maybe even 3 more fights just like that.
And DYS, I mean, it's going to come down to this ult usage, right? If they have to overinvest into this first fight, it's going to give Smelvin the golden opportunity they are waiting for here. It is super crucial that they get out of this fight clean, potentially using just 1 ultimate, maybe 2 if you absolutely have to stretch it. But if you dump, you know, anything more than that, you're going to be putting Smelvin Industries in a spot where they can just take the map.
Yep. And right now, if you're DYS, the one thing you cannot do is let Delta die. That is going to be a lot. That Deadeye is going to bring so much base for this team right now. Sagafar is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Pulse Bomb's going to stick on the Leaky. They're not going to be able to survive it at the end of the day. Now it's down to 5v4. Pulse Bomb is going to stick on the other side, as it now manages to find a 3K, and Tubbs is going to get knocked out of this mech. They're going to have to use the bomb. They need to be able to get back into that mech. They're going to drop down, and they need to be able to survive. If they get knocked out of mech, this retouch might not even be super realistic.
And, I mean, it's now that situation, but it's actually good for DYS. Smelvin overinvested into that fight as well here. It is going to be the Orbital Ray versus this Diva Bomb from Best here, trying to potentially create space, get them away from how much healing and damage is going to come out of that ultimate.
And right now, if you're Best, you don't want to focus on surviving. That point still has a few more seconds to go until it gets touched, but it needs to find it eventually. Best, you need to throw that bomb up in the air. They're going to look to drop it on the car, but it's going to be in a really awkward position right now. Hogafart, rough spot right now, gonna be able to remake 5v5 on the thing, and now it is just down to pure skill, but Sekba has already managed to find one. Robbie Hash and Mori pushed away. Hogafart trying their darndest to pull this thing back in a 4v3 situation, but Thomas is still there, still surviving. They managed to keep this one going, and it's down to a 2v2, and they managed to somehow get the Orbital Ray online right now, doing the best to keeping Deborah's alive as the rest of DYS needs to respond, needs to make their way back as Tobbs is getting knocked out of that mech. Seb makes their way back onto the Lucio, and the numbers game is starting to play its factor. But everybody from DYS is slowly but surely going to start getting back, and they need to find Pix Megalas because the damage is still being outdone. Tobbs is still hanging around in the mech, and while Tobbs is going down, the numbers game, it's playing its effect right now. 0.67 left in the chamber right now. Pulse Bomb comes out, no receipts, and Debrick's trying their darndest to hold on, but Smelvin Industries will hold out and will take the mid-season championship.
It felt so close at the end there. It truly came down to who could come up with the pick in the moment here. We saw clutches back and forth like this one from Delta. A 3-cat Deadeye almost helping secure this defense here. But Smelvin finally no longer denied, no longer second place. They can breathe easy, maybe set some of those nerves at bay because they have finally gotten themselves a trophy.
And that was insanely rough to watch for a minute there because Smelvin Industries, they have a really good start on the attack, but Sekpa was the thorn in their side pretty much this entire series. Not even Delta, Sekpa was constantly online, constantly finding pulse bombs right here. Hogafart as well, unfortunately getting taken out in that one, but they found a big 2K earlier as well to open things up. And here, unfortunately, once again, it really fell apart. Tobbs managing to find a ton of final blows. And at the end of the day, it can't be said enough. I'll keep saying over and over again, if y'all will let me, that Hogafart and Zekba put on a clinic during this entire map.
I mean, yeah, just absolutely crazy here. Both Tracers were really electric here. The MVPs doing what they needed to at the end of the day. And, you know, it still felt jittery. It still felt shaky from Smelvin here. So maybe... Again, I'm really hoping that now that they can officially have a championship under their belt, they can try to set some of those nerves at rest and really realize they are the best of the best for right now.
Yeah, and you can see, again, just by these numbers, again, Hogafart managing to pretty much almost go to match Tom's final blows as well when they were way behind after that very first round, so amazing play by them to be able to pull that one out. Mori staying alive as much as they could with 14,000 damage, but it can't be said enough. Look at Debris as well, who managed to stay alive a good amount, who managed to produce 16,000 heals. I mean, everyone on this team doing their job to the best of their ability, and it shows with the fact that it came down to one final scrappy fight.
I mean, yeah, that final fight, there was at least 4 different moments for both teams where you feel like, oh my goodness, they clutched it. And I promise you, if we had a way to have listened into those comms, it would have been electric there. So much passion, so much, you know, amazing gameplay seen there. DYS, I mean, again, considering how this went the first time, Smelvin body bagging them, putting them in the dirt, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You went toe to toe. One fight changes that entire series on multiple maps there. So absolutely keep your head held high because, my goodness, just what a back and forth.
It was entirely a back and forth. The biggest thing that was really kind of the story, it felt like in the background, was this battle between Toms and Best. And obviously, it is a bit of a disparity when you look at things like the eliminations. Toms managed to find pretty much double what Best was able to do. But at the same time, in the situation, it's rough for Best in that situation. They don't have as much of an advantage to do what Tops was able to do. But at that same time, managing to stay alive as long as they did, have as many final blows as they did, constantly catching people out, that's what gave Tops that bit of that edge. And that's why the final blows is just at such a disparity. So a fantastic job by both of these tanks, but Tops especially doing work on this Diva of the series.
Yeah, and Smelvin leaned on that Diva, leaned on the dive to take them to the victory here, but it feels so good to when we have these matches, Hunter. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the regular season, sometimes you get a lot of sweeps. It happens, right? Everybody's got to, get those regular season games. The seeding's got to occur. But when you've got the height of these championships, these playoff matches, everybody going against each other, everybody wants so desperately to win. They're coming up in the clutch over and over again. It just brings such an intensity to these matches I love.
I mean, it 100% does, and this is exactly what we were hoping for these midseason playoffs, to see these close matchups, and by God, did we see a first final, close final, to really start things out here in Megalas. It has been a fantastic fantastic job at both of these teams today. And obviously, we want an opportunity to talk to the winning team, Smelvin Industries, but we are going to take a quick break to get everything set up. So don't delay, because we have a whole lot more to break down for y'all. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the other side of this massive SNO matchup here in the finals of the midseason tournament. And here, a couple of members of Smelvin Industries taking away the big 3-2 win here today. Big Nan and Robbie Hash. First and foremost, what a series and what a way to win it all.
Thank you.
I mean, the first thing I want to bring up really is you kind of go into the series, you gotta be feeling confident going into there. You end up going over to a map that seems to really kind of favor into you guys a little bit. You go to that New Junk City, and it feels like you guys have that, but I don't know what the mentals were kind of like after that map from that, and then getting into that map 5. What was kind of the I'd say the recovery like?
I just got subbed off.
The recovery was getting Big Man off the pitch.
Yeah.
Take him off on a stretcher.
just the taking Big Nan out. But I mean, no, seriously, you guys talked about it earlier on about how you guys definitely weren't nervous. You know, you've been in this situation plenty of times before, and you know, we did see those nerves crop up time and again here. Was there, you know, who was sort of the calming force? Was anybody able to sort of calm it down, bring it back down to earth to keep the team?
Probably Tops, I'd say. He was
probably Tops. Tops was the voice of reason in voice chat. He like helped everyone calm back down after we thought we were going to lose after the last match.
I mean, hey, listen, that's absolutely massive to have that calming voice of reason here. But, you know, you guys have been in CGL for a minute. You've had, like I said, plenty of opportunities. But finally, you have a trophy in the trophy case here. The midseason is yours. I mean, how does it feel to finally sort of break that curse? You're no longer the Philadelphia Fusion of CGL.
Yeah, I mean, in the mid-season tournaments, we always beat MME both times. We beat the best team and then lose to FMT both times. So it's good to finally win it after coming second every time.
No, I mean, it has to absolutely feel that way. You got to be rejoicing to be going to that map 5 and have again such a barn burner as well in that situation. Again, this whole team was a big part of it. I got to watch a little person called Hogglefart a couple days ago as I casted them. Saw them on the May, and I saw them today on the Tracer. I'm like, this guy needs to be on Tracer. They need to be on Tracer more. Put them back on that Tracer.
Hogglefart is the flex squad.
I have to know about Hogglefart. I gotta know about them.
He's so good, bro. He's mysterious. There's not too much information on him. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have any. He doesn't exist anywhere. He just exists only in the lobby.
Okay, so a typical flex support player, or not flex support, flex DPS player is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, 100% fantastic job. And before we'll kind of let y'all go eat, go celebrate, go take in this win. If you want to shout out or thank anybody, whatever you really want to say in the situation, I mean, the platform is all yours.
There's the casuals now. There's the obvious nominations: Cammy 72. Don't ask why. Jot Dave, Bess. Probably Aristophanes as well. Just everyone.
Shout out Aristophanes, shout out Exabuka. Shout out Stompite. That's all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, hey, Megaless, there you have it. There you are again. Wow. I mean, that's just the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got some wild people here. Everybody's flustered. We're all talking over each other, but yeah. Congrats to y'all. Go celebrate, go enjoy your victory, all that fun stuff. But
Thank you.
Hunter, I mean, as much as this match was a gigabanger, map 5 went the distance. Our desk is going to be amazing at breaking it all down, but I mean, this was just like the first finals of our whole weekend. We still got so much more to do, Hunter.
No, and I mean, there is a lot more as well, and that kind of doubles down to the fact that this isn't like the only week we'll have finals. There's a lot of teams that are playing their semifinals this weekend, and so we're going to have more finals for you throughout the entirety of next week as well. Including for one later for tonight, and
It's just this week. If they don't schedule it by this week, we get angry.
We get angry? Okay, we'll get angry. Okay. Yeah. Well, nix what I said on the bar chance someone does the wrong thing, which everybody should do the right thing. Should have some more for you this weekend, but for us, Megalast, our job is complete. We've done what we had to do. There's a whole lot of information and chaos that this desk has to break down, so let's send it on to him.
Oh, what a series that was. I mean, to start off the mid-season finals with this one, was it clean? No, it was a bare-knuckle brawl, but these teams brought it all, and compared to the last time that they faced each other, this was amazing, and congratulations to Smelvin for taking it. They've won the mid-season finals. They have that extra match win, and that'll help them in the standings, because reminder everyone, out of the 4 teams in the bracket, they were the one with the lowest amount of standings, and now that's really helped them out there. So an incredible play on both sides. There's so much to break down throughout. I mean, I'll just start with you, Rammer. What are your overall thoughts from that absolutely amazing 5-map series we just saw?
Well, I feel like the first one drop back then. Hey, my bread's perfectly correct. And 3-2 for Smelvin. But no, it was an absolute banger of a series. We saw we saw actually DYS come out pretty strong right off the bat, and then Smelvin coming out after that. And this is kind of when this is sometimes when you start to notice a little bit of the difference between the experienced and inexperienced teams in terms of ones that have been around for a while. And the ones that around for a while oftentimes have that ability to come back in those series where they're down and not doing well. But at the same time, I felt like DYS honestly held their own pretty well through a lot of the series. Even towards the end, that final map when the lights were looking really bright, they still were doing pretty good. But honestly, if it wasn't for some heroic plays from Hogglefart, this very well could have been a DYS series win. Honestly, a few points there, I thought they did win.
Exactly. I mean, especially that last fight in Dorado, right? I mean, that swung back and forth like a pendulum on caffeine. Like, that was insane. Multiple times you just thought, one side, oh, they've got it. The other side brings it back. And that was basically like an isolated, epitome of what this entire series was for me. Ray, what were your thoughts here on this series?
It was just a ridiculously high-paced back-and-forth series that was just so fun to watch. We've been waiting to get matches like this on SNO. We got it once before in EU, and we get it once again. They have been delivering as of recent. And I think both teams got to be very proud of how they were. But we were kind of talking about this behind the scenes. DYS has got to be kicking themselves after that amazing high noon that we're seeing right now that Delta got.
Oof. Yeah.
Oh, so good. I mean, that turned it all around because that would have been absolutely the fight that Smelvin would have won it. Suddenly, 3 of them are gone off the board. Now this is final rushed fight. They had Beam. It still wasn't enough. I mean, from the previous matchup to the pre-match interviews to the actual game itself. So, what are your thoughts? What stands out to you most when it comes to this series?
I think the thing that stands out to the most of me is the team play. And I mentioned this, we were kind of talking, getting ready for this. The team play from both of these sides has been incredible. You heard the communication of the soothing, calming voice of Dobbs to really kind of keep the teams like Smelvin together. But you could really see that even when the pressure was on, both of these teams were able to kind of put their teamwork together, put their ultimates together, and come up with unique plays and setups to set each other for success. And at the 3rd and 4th seed, you're not getting carried by, top tier player. You're really winning on the back of that team play. So the team play in this EU division, just A+, absolutely nailing it out the park with how well these teams are playing and playing it close to each other as well.
Exactly. I mean, considering the amount of substitutions they had as well, that team play went across more than just 5 players, which just goes to show that there was a greater strategy at play, the tactics of what players played on what map and what map they went to. I think the first great strategic call was going to Hollywood for Smelvin to turn it around, because it seemed like they did do better in the more open maps, and then Hollywood definitely in their wheelhouse, and you saw that back and forth where there was real strategy in the maps we went to and the players that came out to play, because we saw a lot of players. I don't know what the total amount of players was in this series, but maybe 15. I don't know. That's a ballpark guess. I don't know. We'll get mathematicians on that one as well. Well, a challenge was also met, right? The challenge was raised by Ronan Sov, and someone met that challenge.
Yeah, it's hard. We were kind of admittingly maybe a little low on him in the beginning, but you don't call out the Tracer, and then Hogglefart answered that call and then made you pay the long distance fees. Hogglefart's Tracer, just time and time again, it took us really a little while to kind of warm up to it, but we were counting how many doubles on those pulse bombs. It was almost to the point where Hogglefart just had a pulse bomb, and you were going, okay, if they hit the 2K, they carry this.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal in this DPS, particularly flanking Tracer role. Just running through this team of DYS.
And that is why they are our series MVP, as you saw there. And it was not an easy decision, but Hogglefart was just someone who was very consistent throughout and seemed to get better the more the match went on. So many double pulses, coordinations with the tank, with the Zarya, the ultimate, the Grav as well. And it wasn't an easy choice because someone else on the team Tobbs was the tank that led Smelvin to those victories whenever Tobbs was in. They were working in great tandem with Hogglefart. And I do, as the EU representative on this desk, hands up, have to admit, it's down on their sheet that Hogglefart is American. So the MVP of the first EU mid-season finals is an NA player.
NA
so
supremacy.
All right, fine, fair, okay, hands up, I admit it. I mean, I can't really deny it. Hogglefart played out of their mind.
But I do think
I wish
other
Vectreon
players
was here. Like, he's the one who would not take that. As like, he'd be like, no, he'd be denying it all the way to the end.
I do think it's worth noting, though, because Tobbs, like you said, and also the other DPS player, my mind is escapes my mind from it. Mori, yeah, Mori had phenomenal play in some of those maps. It was so hard, you know. If you had heard us behind the scenes, we were just fiercely kind of debating who are we looking at for MVP. So to settle on Hogglefart is truly an honor, but also, you know, anybody from that team of Smelvin could have been an MVP.
Yeah, at first I was letting Mori, and then we're like, all right, Hogglefart just hit like 15 more pulses in a row. All right, it's probably gonna be them.
It's probably just them. They just hit their fifth double pulse of the night. Oh, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, Hogglefart definitely followed through on a lot of those pulses for sure. I mean, Mori, was on absolute smoke on Hanaoka in the last fight. Absolutely cleared house. Was it a 4K or something? They were just hitting heads constantly. They cleaned the house and secured the map for himself. That's why Mori was in our minds as well. I mean, so many players really stood out, but we were also saying, like, the actual team play and how they were coordinating with each other. I mean, how do other teams even follow up with this matchup? This is the first mid-season finals we've seen. Headrammer, what do other teams have to do to even match this?
I mean, all teams need to step up. I mean, we saw DYS mention in their interview that they were, you know, they took their loss like pretty well and like, okay, here's the things we need to work on, and worked really hard on their improvement. And we've seen it in both of their matchups that have been repeats so far, against Falcons, where they turned their back around and won that series, and out to this one where they were previously 3-0'd by Smelvin Industries to turn it into one of the most closest 3-2s I've ever seen in my life. I think, you know, if you're DYS, you're thinking, okay, we're making the right movements. You know, any losses this close sucks. You know, honestly, I feel like a 3-0 is oftentimes easier to shrug off than like a really close 3-2. But it shows you're going the right direction. You've made a tremendous amount of improvement in just a few weeks. And that's what we need to see from all the teams in these other upcoming finals, is if all their improvement they've had for these past few weeks pays off enough to, you know, do that in the grand finals.
Yeah, I think like what DYS showed here today, well, they didn't get the win. They showed that when we talk about teams like ramping up, getting used to each other, like VOD reviewing and improving, this is what we mean. The last time these teams met, Frio, clean slate, and DYS have showed how close it was. You change one element of the final Finderado, and it is a DYS win. I want to see this as the grand finals. This one, I need to see it run back. I need to see what DYS comes back with. I want to see Smelvin up their game as well. This is a game that I need to see on repeat because it could definitely go the way of DYS. I mean, best to 7 matchup, it goes 7 maps probably. That's the sort of craziness that we'll see. But in overall, Ray, looking at this whole matchup here and looking forward onto the next stage, what do these teams need to keep doing? What do they need to improve on? What are your thoughts on the teams moving forward from this match?
I think taking a look at both the teams, I mean, we can focus on Smelvin first. I think, you know, they had huge individual pop-off play from a lot of their players, especially Hogglefart. So I think the one thing they need to do is not be so reliant on them to absolutely pop off, because I don't think you can rely. I mean, yes, Hogglefart was constantly hitting pulse bombs, but can you continue to rely on that week in, week out? Like, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe you hit 50% less pulse bombs than you did. You might lose that series. So I feel like they need to work on that. And for the side of DYS, I think it's just making sure your team can clutch up in certain situations. Like, Hogglefart was able to do way too much just on his own. Like, it wasn't even pulse bombs a lot of the times. Like, he would just be on the cart dancing around and they just could not kill him. I feel like your focus fire's got to be a lot better on those tracers for sure if you want to win next time around.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Hogle was playing well, but there maybe could have been a bit more to try and rein it in, especially with the call out as well. I'm sure Ronan is now like drafting the next step, the next arc of Ronan. I'm really excited to see what that player is going to do after calling out a Tracer and then actually getting that met and then some. So, what's your thoughts on the overall matchup here? What stands out to you? What do you think these teams need to go on going forward to make it to the grand finals and basically secure it in the end?
Since Ray talked about Smelvin, I'll take the other side and go to DYS. And I think for DYS in particular, it's tightening up some of those fundamentals that kind of punish you at moments. It's those in clutch decision moments. When are you committing an ult? When are you saving an ult? Where are you engaging these fights? And who are you marking? Because kind of like Ray mentioned, and it's hard not to talk about him, but Hogglefart just had their way on these flanks a lot of the time with DYS. And the Venture's supposed to be coming in to, the Venture and the Brig are supposed to be there to kind of help keep that Tracer duty in check. And a lot of the times, if you would just kind of tighten up, who you're watching, who you're marking, that goes a distance. And then add in the fact that sometimes, you just commit an ult, you overextend a little bit, just those small micro decisions that kind of, you get too lost in the sauce and you go too deep in the moment, really do kind of punish you. So just keeping your head calm in those clutch situations, I really think needs to happen for DYS in the future, because all of the great pieces are there. There's a great team with great fundamentals that are there, and they've shown it tonight. But I think just kind of yanking those chains back and keeping yourself, on the leash sometimes will go so much further for the rest of this back half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ability when you're in play to step back and think of the macro sense of the fight and the match on the specific maps you're on, thinking fights ahead. If you're able to do that, which is a very difficult thing to do, but if you're able to unlock that, you go to the next step, and that's what the teams can do. But while it might be 30 minutes past into the next day for most of EU, we still have more matches here on CGL because we'll be going over to the NA region. So we have 2 matches. We have 1 match, which will be Shortburst versus Mental Institution. That starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. We have Queen of Diamonds versus the Banished at 9 o'clock Eastern. I'm sure Rammer, you'll be able to tell me which one's the SNO one, which one's the other one. Where can they see these matches?
Yeah, so Short Bus versus Mental Institution will be on CGL_2, and Queen of Diamonds versus the Banished will be the SNO match on CGL 1.
There you have it. So you'll have an SNO desk for the Queen of Diamonds and the Banished, and you'll see some familiar faces there. And, well, I mean, the mid-season playoffs are just fully underway. And we're going to see much more. SNO's rolling. We'll have SNO next week, of course, with more games. But the mid-season playoffs themselves, they do finish tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of content to catch. We're going to be trying to catch as many of them as we can. The finals and anything we can to try and see what these stories are doing in each of these divisions. But the gauntlet was thrown down here by the console open division of EU because, while it wasn't the cleanest match I've ever seen, it was an absolute brawl, and it's what you love to see. So, final shout-outs here across the board. Thank you to both the teams for this amazing matchup. Of course, without them, we wouldn't have a match to cast. They're literally the content. We're just here to supplement. And, of course, thank you to the back-end team as well for actually, making us look good. To Happy, to Rhino, to Blizzard, and I'm probably missing someone because my brain is so rattled. Megalass and Hunter Tane and June. Yes, June, as I was saying. Megalass and Hunter Tane for taking us through. Like Megalass said, the Baptiste was very cracked. And of course, thank you for you guys for joining me. Well, I may be the only EU guy on the desk, and Spec is somewhere waking up in a sudden sweat because any player won MVP in an EU game. I'm glad you guys were able to join me.
Happy birthday to Spec, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is it actually his birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
He's not here because he's out celebrating his birthday.
Yeah.
Everyone want to sing in unison happy birthday?
No.
No. I knew you were going to say that.
Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha.
And that's his closing statement. Thank you, Rammer.
And yes, and Spec has that to look forward to. That clip being sent to him. But yes, that's been it from the EU desk. So make sure to cash any and have the other CGL stream open for 2 matches at one time. This has been EU. Don't forget to laugh loud and love yourself, folks, and we'll see you in NA.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.